This is not enough to begin the meeting. I need 6 more members for a quorum. Mr. Fewer, Mr. Padilla, Mr. Holden, Mr. Hernandez, Ms. Chick, Mr. Pacheco, Mr. Savornich. Where are you? All right, we're up to 6. I need 4 more for a quorum. Those present are Mr. Bernson, Mr. Fewer, myself, Ms. Mizikowski, Mr. Pacheco, and Ms. Walters. Everybody else, at least 4 of you. We have a 96-item agenda. We have at least 1 presentation. We have several people who have to leave early being like 1. So get a move on. Ladies and gentlemen, although we don't yet have a full quorum, we are going to begin with a presentation by Mr. Bernsen. So if I could have the council members who are here come back up here, and everybody else sit down.
Started arisen that she says you don't have a quorum.
Well, I'm going to do the presentation first, okay? What is your name?
Bob Boutier. Yes.
I don't have the resolution. What are we celebrating?
Our 100th anniversary tomorrow.
Madam President, members of the council, we're going to do something a little different this morning because...
Hold on, Mr. Bernsen. It's way too noisy up here. Can we have a little respect here? Okay, go ahead.
We're going to do something a little out of order today because of the time element. We don't have the reso here yet, but we want to honor the Southern California Automobile Club for 100 years of service to our community. And I have Bob Boutier and Dan Beal, who you'll recognize, who used to be with the city. Come on forward over here, gentlemen. For 100 years now, the Automobile Club has been offering roadside assistance to motorists in the Southern California area, and actually encompassed with national organizations as well. Is that correct? I know I've been a member for about 40 years.
Okay, very good.
So, unfortunately, recently I just had occasion to call your services, and it was very good, by the way. We were hit by a wheel that came off a car on the freeway, and quite a bit of damage to our car coming north on the 405, on the 5 rather. Anyway, for all these years, the Automobile Club has come to the assistance of motorists throughout our communities that have had problems, and they've done so in a very, very efficient and proper way. Oh, here comes the resolution, okay? I may even sign it to make it official. At any rate, I don't know if I'm going to read all this stuff or not, but if we have a little time, maybe I will. Whereas the Automobile Club of Southern California is celebrating their 100th anniversary of its founding, and official headquarters has been in the city of Los Angeles since its founding and located its current headquarters at Adams and Figueroa Street, a city historical cultural monument since 1923. And if you haven't seen the building, it's really worth taking a look at. They've advocated the growth, maintenance, and safety of California's transportation systems throughout its history. They've pioneered such innovations as low-cost automobile insurance, emergency road service, also the Highway Patrol, later operated by the state of California. The Auto Club has also served the city of Los Angeles for all of its 100 years, beginning with the posting of first directional road signs. And by the way, there was some information that was on television and on radio that talks about the fact that when they first started, there were no directional signs, and the Auto Club was the first to post directional signs in the city of Los Angeles and in the county, creating the first road maps of the region and by playing a key role in development of highways, streets, and roads in Los Angeles and throughout Southern California. The Auto Club has enhanced safety in Los Angeles neighborhoods by assisting and recognizing the efforts of law enforcement officers working to reduce drinking and driving, conducting school, traffic safety, and other safety programs, and improving teen and senior driving safety. The Auto Club continues to serve residents of the city of Los Angeles, where over 1 million members have easy access to emergency roadside assistance, road trip planning assistance, travel agencies, low-cost, high-quality insurance and financial services, and member discounts at retailers, restaurants, and attractions. Now, therefore, be it resolved that by the adoption of this resolution, the mayor and the city of Los Angeles declare December 13th, 2000 as Automobile Club of Southern California Day to recognize and honor the association for its commitment, its active involvement, and contributions to the people of the city of Los Angeles. You want to accept it?
Thank you very, very much.
You want to say a couple words here?
Just very briefly.
Yeah. Let's take a picture first. You want, yeah, take. Dan, get in here, Dan. Okay, now, Bob?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I'd like to just briefly thank Councilman and also the city council members for this honor. 100 years, the Auto Club was established in Los Angeles 100 years ago tomorrow, and we serve over 5 million members in Southern California, with 1 million of those members here in California. We've been very involved with the city over the last 100 years in establishing the transportation and the infrastructure. And I do want to thank each of you again for this honor, and we hope to be here for the next 100 years. Thank you very much. Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate it very, very much.
Walk back, we'll take another picture back there.
Thank you, and I would like to say thank you as somebody who uses the Auto Club to get rescued every now and then. All right, we are still one short of a quorum. Mr. Holden, Mr. Padilla, Mr. Savornich, and Mr. Wax. I need one more in order to start this meeting with 96 items on the agenda. Mr. Holden is not here, Mr. Padilla is not here, Mr. Savornich is not here, Mr. Wax is not here, Mr. Ridley Thomas is excused. Mr. Ferraro will not be able to come today. We're excusing him for illness. Here's your... Two more for a quorum, yes. Well, I need 2 out of 3, guys. Where are you? Come on, guys, you can call them back later.
Madam Chair, while we're here, I'd like to acknowledge that Mr. Shapiro's here. We haven't seen him for a while, but he not only came, but he also has a group of high school students with him. And I'm not sure if he'd like to introduce him to the full council while we're waiting for some other members to arrive. So I'm not sure.
Well, let's have them stand up and be acknowledged by the rest of us.
My understanding
Ladies
is they're
and gentlemen.
from Pauley High School out in the valley. Would you all
Come on,
stand?
Leonard, get your crew up here. All right. We're always happy to have you come and visit. It's a little embarrassing when we don't have a quorum, but they'll get here. They all claim to be on their way.
Okay.
This is the equal benefits one. We only wanted the shorts. We wanted the shorts so you can make copies after you look at it.
One more. Mr. Holden, Mr. Padilla, and Mr. Savornich, one of you, please. Mr. Holden is here. We now have a quorum. So if you're ready, we're finally going to bring this meeting to order. It is 10:25. Good morning. This is a meeting of the Los Angeles City Council on Tuesday, December 12th, 2000. The council meets Tuesday, Wednesday, although this week it'll be on Thursday, and Friday at 10 o'clock, more or less. We are available on Channel 35 and also on council phone. There are normally 15 members of the council, but because of Ms. Goldberg's departure to the State Assembly, we currently have 14 members of the City Council. This being the first meeting and the first Tuesday meeting in December, we're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, so I will ask you all to rise, and those of you who are talking to stop talking. And Ms. Chick, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And this morning for the invocation, we are joined by Father Anthony Scannell from the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. Father?
I invite you all to take a few seconds to draw within your hearts and to call upon our Creator God by whatever name and whatever way you are comfortable. Lord God, our Creator, we know that Los Angeles will never be a city of angels. What we pray is that it will be a city of genuine human beings touched by the angels. We pray that you send your Spirit, Creator God, into our hearts, that we never cease to hope that this city will someday be a city of peace, a city where every heart will acknowledge that there is a God who has created every Los Angelino and endowed each one of us with dignity and the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of Southern California happiness. We pray that our citizens acknowledge you as a God of peace and of justice, of hope inspired anew at this time of year, the season when we celebrate Ramadan, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, celebrations of light over darkness, of peace and goodwill to all, a peace based on justice and the effort to seek the well-being of every multicultural face who sees the sunrise over this rainbow city. We ask you to give this council the gift of wisdom to sort through the complexities of its tasks, seeking unselfishly the common good over self or special interests. Granted the gift of courage to speak out and act for those who do not know the language of power and influence, nor the corridors of persuasion and lobbying. May this council and all the multiracial human faces it represents never cease to long for a Los Angeles that will be a model for the cities of this land and of this world. And especially, may this council have confidence that there is a God like you, by whatever name our multi-religious populace calls and reveres you, that you are near and surround us like the mountains and the desert and the ocean and the sky. Surround us with the angels in our city's title, eager to help us make all these things happen. We ask this today, December 12th, the millennium year 2000, the feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe, Queen of the Angels, for whom our city is named. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Father. All right, we have a long agenda today, ladies and gentlemen, and until we have one more member present, we are not going to be in a position to do the ordinances. Aha. I take it all back. We are now in a position to do that. Let's first go through the minutes, the roll call. Oh, good idea. Do the roll call.
Burns and Chick, Fuhrer, Galanter, Goldberg, Hernandez, Holden, Miskowski, Pacheco, Padilla, Ridley, Thomas, Florence, Wax, Walters, Ferraro. 12 members present and a quorum, Madam President.
Hallelujah. First item.
Approval of the minutes.
Without objection, the minutes are approved.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
And without objection, the resolutions are approved.
Before getting to the regular agenda, there are a few items to be continued. Item number 2, request that that matter be continued one day until December 13th.
All right, without objection, item 2 will be continued.
Item number 26, a request that that matter be continued until January 17th.
All right, item 26. Any objections? That's continued till the 17th.
Item number 32, a request that that matter be continued till January 12th. That's item 32.
sorry, which one?
Item 32.
Item 32. Without objection, that will be continued to January 12th.
Okay. Madam President, items number 3 and 4 are commission appointments. I understand Mr. Pacheco was going to make a motion regarding the commission appointments today.
All right, Mr. Ridley Thomas has requested that item 4 be held until until Friday. I don't know if you had heard this yet.
Yes, I had heard it. Although Mr. Ridley Thomas has suggested we hold the chair of the CRA Commission till Friday, I believe, although the committee had recommended approval for both Mr. Vergara and Ms. Moore, that we should review this matter after we have the executive session on the current issues that were presented to us in council prior, which is going to come up on Friday. So everyone can benefit from the hearing. We can review these matters after that hearing. So I would move that both 3 and 4 come back on
Be
Friday.
continued until Friday.
Yes.
All right. Is there any objection to Mr. Pacheco's motion to continue items 3 and 4 until Friday? Seeing none, that will be the order. So my apologies to those of you who came expecting to be heard today, but please come back on Friday. We'll do our best to start at 10 o'clock. Okay, next item.
Item number 1 is an item notice for public hearing. It's also an ordinance.
All right, I do not have any cards. Are there any members of the public wishing to be heard on item 1? All right, seeing none, the public hearing is closed and the matter is before the council. Members of the council? Seeing nobody wishing to be heard, open the roll on item 1. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. I think this week we probably need to do them all forthwith, don't we? Forthwith on that.
Items number 5 through 27, with the exception of 26, are items for which public hearings have been held. Items number 23 and 27 require a motion inasmuch as there are more than one report on each file.
All right, so we're talking about 5 through 27, right?
5 through 27, with the exception of 26, which has been acted on. 23 and 27
All
require a
right,
motion.
23 and 20, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Hernandez.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'd like to continue item 7 till Friday, if the
All right.
library staff could talk to me before that.
All right, is there any objection to continuing item 7 until Friday? Ms. Misikowski.
Not on item 7, on item 27.
Oh, wait, hold on, let me continue 7. All right, so 7's continued till Friday. Next.
Item 27 was, we had 3 different motions. This is a matter we had taken up before. I've been informed by the CLA that the motions that the council had put together have essentially been incorporated in an adopted state legislation, which was more moderate than what was presented. So I'm just going to ask that we receive and file all the motions on 27.
All right, is there any objection to receiving
21
and
been
filing all of the motions on item 27? Seeing none, those are received and filed. 27 is now taken care of. Mr.
Item 14 special, please.
All right, I'm coming to all of,
Oh, sorry.
were you through? On item 7, we
I was going to call
continued.
21 special.
21, all right,
Purpose of
now.
amendment.
Specials. Mr. Fewer calls item 14 special. Mr. Hernandez called item 21 special. Anybody else?
Madam Chair, 23 special,
Mr. Padilla, no, we already, I'm sorry, yes.
and request that item number 20 be sent to ITGS Committee for review.
All right, let's take that first. Item 20, is there any objection to sending item 20 to Mr. Padilla's committee?
I have no problems with that. It's just establishing a webpage for the roundtable.
Okay.
For purposes of advertising, as long as you can hear it right away.
Wait.
Yeah.
Is your mic on? Is his mic on?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
say
on.
again. What did you say?
Yeah, I have no problem with sending that to his committee, as long as he hears it right away. We're trying to establish a webpage for purposes of promoting the process.
No, that's fine. I'll commit to hearing it at the next committee meeting.
Yeah, but are you going to have it back before we break till January? Do you need,
Early in January, it'll be back here in the
And as long
council.
as it's not time sensitive, I don't know what the mayor's office
And the
says.
primary reason this hasn't been considered by the committee, and we're looking at the
Yeah.
citywide website.
the only issue here is whether we need to get it back by,
Why don't we continue it till Friday, and then on Friday, if there's no problems, we can just continue it to your next committee meeting.
Okay.
I just want to
okay?
make sure it
Okay,
doesn't
fine, all
stop them
right.
from doing what they're
Item
doing.
20, which one was it? I've lost it.
Item number 20.
20, all right, is continued until Friday.
And just take base with the mayor's office.
Okay, and you guys will take care of that. Any more specials? Items?
Item 25, Madam Chair.
Item 25 is called special by Mr. Hernandez. Items 5 through 27, 26. 6, Mr. Holden calls item 6 special. Don't feel compelled, guys, there's 96 items on this agenda. Okay, open the roll on items 5, 8 through 13, 15 through 19, 22, 24. That's it, right? Am I with you?
I'm
that's
pretty
right.
sure that's 5, 8 through 13,
Right.
15 through 19,
And 22,
and 22,
24.
and 24.
All right, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Hallelujah, those are approved. Forthwith on all of those. Next item.
Items
we're
number
trying.
28 through 88 are items for which public hearings have not been held. Action has already been completed on 32.
All right,
There are several
well,
exceptions
hold
to
on.
this.
Go ahead.
Within items 28 through 88,
Yes.
item number 34 is a presentation by the Department of Water and Power and the Gas Company. Do you wish to call that special?
Yes, call that special.
Okay. Item number 46, there are 2 reports on each file. Do you wish to call that special?
Ms.
All right, Mr. Fuhr moves the Budget Committee
Is
report.
that A?
That's A, all right. We also have cards on several items.
Okay.
And
Also,
since-
in addition to that, though,
Okay.
item 83, there's also more than one on each file.
All right, and item 83. Okay. Well, we're not up to, we'll get to the specials in a
Okay,
second.
so item 83, do you wish to call that
Item-
special?
Yeah, call 83 special. and-
Okay, and item number 85 is actually a withdrawal from the Public Works Committee. Do you wish to call that special?
Yes. That will also be special. And Mrs. Walters, you were calling 52 special? All right, I would like to, if I can find it right. I'd like to call 61 special for the purpose of splitting the vote. So I'll call 61 special.
Madam President, item 62 special, please, for a
All
question.
right, Mr. Fuhr calls item 62. Mr. Wax?
Madam President,
66,
64
66,
and 66.
and 85 only for the purpose of voting no on the actual substance.
Right, and we've already called that one special. Mr. Holden?
31 and 75,
31, Mr. Holden,
and 75.
and 75, Mr. Holden. Anybody else?
And item 67,
Mrs.
67 and 73,
All right, 67, and what was the other one?
73.
73. Anybody else? Any more specials? So we're now, I'm behind on my crossing things out here. Okay, we have, now hang on, we have cards on item 31, which was already called special, on 34, which was already called special, and on 91, so we'll call that special. No, all right. All right, so we have before us, I believe,
Items number...
if there's nobody else who wants to be heard on all these items between 28 and 88, the public hearings are closed. That's how I'm not tempting fate. Okay, we are now going to open the roll on items 28 through 30, 33, 35 through 40 through 51, 53 through 60, 63, 65, 68.
I have a message on item number 45. That's a REAP that is also being removed for administrative purposes only. So I need to make a note to that.
So we're taking item
We're taking
45.
action on 45, but it's being removed for administrative purposes.
Okay, all right. Item 68, I'd also like to call special. Sorry about that, just for purposes of my vote. So shall I try this again? 28 through 30, 33, 35 through 51, 53 through 60, 63, 65, 69 through 72, 74, 76 through 82, 84, and 86 through 88.
84 as amended.
84 as amended, yes. And we did an earlier one, we amended also, 46. Okay, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Those are approved forthwith on all of those. Next.
Items number 91 through 95 are items for which public hearings have not been held. These are the supplemental agenda items.
Okay, we have a card on 91.
No, actually, Madam President?
Yes.
Not yet. There's actually, I just want to move the substitute motion, the substitute ordinance on 91.
Okay. All right, is that distributed?
Yeah, some people's answer.
Okay. There was a card in. Oh, okay. All right, there is no card on 91. So, sorry, Conrad, do it again.
Items number 91 through 95, there's a substitute ordinance that has been moved on 91.
Okay, so we'll have 91, 94 special, Mr. Savornich. Any other specials? I have no cards on any of these, so we're going to deem the public hearings closed. No other specials. Okay, open the roll on 91, 92, 93, 95, 96, 97, and, no, 96, right. I got carried away here. Okay, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote. Close the roll first. There we go.
12 ayes.
Those are approved forthwith on all of those. Now where are we?
Madam President,
Ms. Mizikowski.
could I ask for reconsideration on item 27? That was the one I asked for receive and file. Mr. Burnson has asked that that come back so he could talk to the CLA and see if we can discuss it. So I'd like to ask for motion for reconsideration and then call it special.
Okay, let's, is there any objection to reconsideration of item 27? Cindy's motion? Seeing none, that is reconsidered and called special, and we'll hold that on the desk while we resolve whatever had to be resolved there. The action was to receive and file all the motions.
27.
On 27. So we're unreceiving and filing them, and I guess we're sending and filing. And we're just holding it on the desk at the moment. Okay. Now, I believe we're back to, all right. The, Mr. Fewer, you had a concern about getting 91.
It's done, I think.
Okay, it's done. Yes, all right. So, item 34, Mr. Freeman is here from the Department of Water and Power. Ms. Chick, let's take that one first. Go ahead. And could you, yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Colleagues, I introduced the motion that's now before us because certainly all of us, both as elected officials representing constituents and in our own personal lives, are reading and hearing about and facing this issue of increased gas prices, increased energy prices. My motion has asked for Mr. Freeman, the head of our Department of Water and Power, and the point agency that watches out over the city on these issues, to working with the gas company to report to the council on what's real, what looks real, and what doesn't in terms of potential increased prices. Why is the public facing these increased prices? What can we do about it? And anything else that you deem important for us to know. But the main point here is to both educate, inform the public, and to assist them with information that could be to their benefit. Also, I want to thank my colleague, Ms. Galanter, who chairs the committee that works especially with DWP. I've seconded her motion that will bring further information forward back to her committee. But I wanted this report in a timely way and to the full public and council, and I look forward to hearing what you have to say, Mr. Freeman. Is the gas company also represented? I thought they were also participating, although they are not the city's agency. I'd like to have them up at the table.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning. It was interesting. I got up unusually early this morning and turned on C-SPAN, hoping to hear the Supreme Court's opinion. And what I saw was the Senate Commerce Committee holding a hearing on natural gas pricing, and listened to it for over an hour. And the situation is dire. We face a full-fledged energy crisis, and as Chairman Murkowski, the chairman of the committee, said, he said we could have devoted the whole hearing to California because California is bearing the brunt of it. We have gas prices in the spot market today that are 7 or 8 times as high as the prices in the rest of the country, just as our electric power spiked up. And quite frankly, we have the same disease that's causing both of them. It's called deregulation. And frankly, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission stopped controlling the price of interstate transportation and left it to the marketplace. And of course, the Congress repealed the price controls at the wellhead back in 1980. So we have a shortage of natural gas, and the marketplace is behaving in a way to put the price up through the ceiling. And as one woman testified this morning from Massachusetts on behalf of the state agencies, there are millions of people in this country today that are going to have to choose between food and clothing and heat this winter. And it is a terrible thing to see a transfer of wealth of enormous proportions going out of the pockets of the consumers into the pockets of gas producers and pipeline companies and market people that are just making a killing off of the public. Now, on behalf of the Department of Water and Power, let me say that we are absorbing the increases in gas prices that we're experiencing, and we are not going to raise the electric rates, and we are taking measures to counteract that. And that is in sharp contrast, I might say, to what's happening with the natural gas industry, where, quite frankly, no one is legally responsible for gas supply at a reasonable price in the city of Los Angeles. I'm not blaming the gas company. They're just on the distribution system. But we don't have a system of laws in this country that places responsibility for something as vital to our economy as natural gas. Now, what should we do? I think that there is a large measure of self-help that could be initiated. We have on the electric side a series of true conservation programs where we provide monetary incentives to help our customers buy more efficient refrigerators, air conditioners, and the like. We have a low-income program. We've reached over 100,000 low-income families with our Neighbors program, and we go in and just do it, don't charge them anything, and make efficiency improvements in their homes. I would suggest that the state of California and the gas companies ought to launch a similar aggressive financed efficiency program for their customers. A gas furnace is the main item that converts gas into heat. And there are gas furnaces on the market that operate at a 94% efficiency. But the old furnaces have efficiency of 50 or 60%. A program to give people rebates would be in order. Also, I think we need to scream bloody murder at the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission. We need to get the entire California delegation to stand up and speak with one voice. We are being robbed of billions of dollars by a regulatory system that is not functioning. We've been focusing on electric power in San Diego, but that disease is spreading throughout the country and especially in the state. Now, I might say, to their credit, having been burned before, the San Diego Gas and Electric Company has filed a request for emergency relief with FERC, and we are intervening to support them. I challenge the gas company, which is a subsidiary of the same Sempra, to join us and try, and perhaps they'd have more influence than we would with the people back there. But we have got to stand up and shift from neutral, I might say, to pro-consumer, because no one else seems to be standing up for the consumer. I think it's time to suggest that we reimpose price controls at the wellhead. You could have a floor on natural gas prices and a ceiling so that the price won't go so low that people will stop drilling. But $9 for 1,000 cubic feet of gas when the price was $2.50 a year ago is outrageous. It has no connection with costs, and it's simply a function of the fact that we have a perceived shortage, and the marketplace is just rewarding people unmercifully as far as the consumer is concerned. We cannot remain silent, and I think a combination of efficiency programs help. There has to be money appropriated for low-income customers to help pay their bills. The federal government has such a program. We need emergency assistance. Another suggestion is New England had a heating oil problem, and they are persuaded the government to put in some regional reserves. We need some help from the federal government to fill up the storage facilities in California so that we can have an adequate supply of gas out here. I mean, we're sending gas down to Mexico, and we don't have enough gas in storage here in California. I think we have to ask the gas company, which knows much more about this subject than I do, to get very, very proactive on behalf of the customers of Los Angeles. I think there is a sharp contrast between what's happening in electricity, where this council very wisely decided not to go down deregulation road, and where your department, I think, is proving that there is enterprise in the city government of Los Angeles that is superior to what's happening in the private companies in this state in electricity. Maybe we ought to take a look at whether the department should expand its activities and get into the gas business, because, quite frankly, the gas industry is taking us to the cleaners right now.
Yes, I was going to say, since you've invoked the gas company, I think it's time to hear from the gas
Our
company.
name's been taken in vain a few times. Thank you. Good morning. I'm Ann Shen Smith. I am the Vice President for Customer Services for the gas company. I was not up this morning watching the CNN. However, I assure you that I spend most of my waking hours dealing with these issues lately. There's been a lot of press about the energy crisis in California. Most of the focus has been on the electricity issues, the skyrocketing prices in San Diego, talk about tremendous financial problems that the private electric utilities are facing, threats of rolling blackouts on the part of the customers. Now, Mr. Freeman has addressed some of those issues relative to electricity. I like to focus on natural gas and also to focus on the consumers, because that is really where I like to spend most of my energy. Before I start, though, I want to assure everybody that we do not see any likelihood of interrupting services to our customers this winter, unlike the threat of rolling blackouts. We have adequate supplies, we have adequate delivery capacity to keep all of our homes warm. So as that is a background, nonetheless, the prices have been high, like Mr. Freeman talked about, and we're very concerned about the impact on customers. But just a little bit of a background, and if I could ask Michael Delatorre, I'd like to just give you a visual picture of what we're talking about here, because the situation is, in fact, rather bizarre. Experts tell us, what we're seeing is the classic phenomenon of supply and demand imbalance. What we have is supply dwindling, not because there's not enough gas in the grounds, but because prices were so low a couple of years ago that producers decided it was in their interest to keep the gas shut in. Demand keeps going up, and you have this classic result. I wanted to show you this chart because what we're hearing a lot about is this red line here, which is the California border price. And you see that we're talking about $40 gas that has spiked up in the recent weeks. The other lines, one line represents sort of the national price, the NYMEX price. And then the blue line finally is the price that the gas company has been charging its core customers. Just a reminder, we do not purchase gas for large industrial customers such as DWP. We buy gas for the smaller customers, including the residential. So you could see that this is a very bizarre phenomenon where the border price is skyrocketed. Lots of people speculating the cause of that. Nonetheless, suffice it to say that a year ago, even on the national basis, even for gas companies' customers, they were paying something like around 26 cents a therm for the gas. This December, they'll be paying 65 cents for the gas, and a lot of it is just following the national trend because of the supply-demand type of imbalance. What I want to talk about today is what are we doing as a gas company to help our customers. And I hope this chart will at least, first of all, illustrate the fact that we're actually doing a pretty darn good job to protect our customers from these spikes with our purchasing. We've been talking to our customers. We're particularly concerned about low-income customers. We do have rate discounts available to our customers. We do have free weatherization. We do have gas assistance funds that are available to the low-income customers. We're also trying to help our business customers as well, because everybody's going to be seeing bills that go up to the tune of 60%. So conservation, I would very much support Mr. Freeman's view. We have got to encourage customers to do that. We are throwing money at it, rate assistance, etc. So I think with due deference to your 96th agenda items, maybe I'll just close my remarks and be prepared for questions you might have.
Okay, thank you. Now, we do have one member of the public who's asked to be heard. I knew he hadn't retired. Mr. Shapiro.
Thank you, Madam Pro Tem. I thought the public was going to be heard before our professionals talk, but it's good to hear them.
Well, normally we have the staff reports first, and this is as close as we've got to a staff report.
Well, maybe I forgot the way it used to work around here.
You haven't been around for a while.
But I never thought the day would come when I would be agreeing with David Freeman. But I think he's right on the ball in regard to what's happening here in the gas situation. The gas situation really is disgraceful. And it's time that the city council allowed itself to be heard. There's too much. You didn't do anything about gasoline when those prices went through the roof, most of it unnecessarily. You didn't do anything about power, because we were protected here. Somehow or other, Dave Freeman and the Department of Water and Power made sure that they didn't get greedy and sell off all the stranded assets like the other companies did, and then they got caught with their pants down, and the prices went through the roof. But the city council should have taken a stand. And now that you didn't, that doesn't mean that you should not take a stand here. I think you should heed the warning that Mr. Freeman is giving you and telling you that this is whatever's happening now, where the price is going from $2 to $9, and the people who are in charge kind of like it because there's a perceived shortage. There is no real shortage. There's a perceived shortage, and they're taking advantage of the fact that that's the way people think, and the people don't know. But the city council can stand up and be counted and say, no, we're behind the consumers. We're behind the people of L.A. We will not allow companies to take advantage of a situation which isn't of the people's making. Hold the price down unless you get a good reason for allowing it to go. Madam Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Shapiro. That closes the public hearing. I see you brought your fan club. We need a fan club. Can you guys come back some other time?
It's my fan club.
Okay, Ms. Chick.
Yeah. Actually, I'd like to save my comments for the end. That was the second push. Thank you.
Mr. Bernson.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to thank both the representatives here for their presentation. I want to particularly give credit to Mr. Freeman for the foresight that he has had and the Commission in making sure that there was adequate power in the way of electric power for the City of Los Angeles. To start with, at one time, when deregulation came into play, we were looking at a potential $8 billion deficit. And everybody threw up their hands and said, this is going to break the city and break the DWP. Well, lo and behold, what's happened today? They're now down to about a $2 billion on the bonded indebtedness.
1.4.
1.4, and they're selling our surplus power for $500,000 a day. So I want to commend them for doing the right thing and for the leadership that they've expressed. As far as the gas company is concerned, I do have a lot of concerns, but I know they've been a very responsible organization, and I think they're going to do. I hope they're going to do the best they can to keep prices in line for the people of our area. A good example, if you want to talk about deregulation, it sounds great in theory, but look what happened. Deregulation has virtually created a terrible crisis in the energy industry. And look what it did to the airlines as far as the deregulation is concerned. You have chaos, and you have the worst service that's ever taken place in the history of this country now in the airline industry because of deregulation. I just want to add one more thing to all these people who are trying to take advantage of the public now, particularly, excuse me, can I have just a little quiet over here, please? Who are taking advantage of the public because of the energy situation today. And particularly when we're shifting out of things such as dirty diesel into things like natural gas, and rightfully so. But I think you should all be aware of the fact, including all industries that are in the energy business, that even OPEC has said that they only have 10 years left of which they can demand the prices they're talking about, because there's something coming called the fuel cell. And that fuel cell eventually will be the source of energy, and that includes gasoline, and includes natural gas. Obviously, electricity is something that we're always going to need to, but it may be supplied by a different source. So that's what we're really talking about. And nothing tastes as good as food cooked under gas. Yes. My wife will always tells me about that because we have an electric range. Anyway, thank you for the presentation, and I hope both of your organizations will keep working to make our power sources available and affordable for the public here. Thank you.
Okay. Well, all right. Did you want to?
Well, there's one comment that needs to be made. The interesting point is that the industry is complaining that the market price was too low in recent years, and it's the market price that caused the drilling to stop. Now, think that through. The price of natural gas has been too volatile because it has been subjected to the marketplace. And all I'm suggesting is that we go back to good old-fashioned regulation to put a floor under the price as well as a ceiling.
Okay, but I'm going to call on Ms. Smith, and then I don't want to have a debate between the two of you here, because I've got more councilmen. We'll see.
Just a couple of points. For those who weren't able to see the chart, we're rather proud of what we have done. If you look at the border prices that some of the big customers are paying to the tune of $40, we are charging our core customers something to the tune of $6 because we've been able to manage the assets we have. Lots of discussion about market and so on. The wholesale gas market has been deregulated for 20 years, and frankly, it's been doing okay until now. What you're seeing, we believe, calls for some short-term things like price control and so on. But in the long run, we have got to look at more of an integrated resource planning and how we're going to deal with supply and demand so that prices are reasonable. So I would support Mr. Freeman in that.
Oh, he was right. You did agree with him. All right, Mr. Hernandez is next.
Members of the council, I don't want to speculate why Ms. Chick brought this to our attention, but I'm glad she did. I think it's important that the message be conveyed, and I think this is her reason for bringing it to our attention, that gas rates are going up. And it's not the gas company's fault because they're a distribution company, and they're not the ones who are basically increasing the price of gas. Now, the reason I think that's important is many of our constituents will be making difficult decisions based on their discretionary income and their realities because of these increases. And the gas company has a low-income discount that they provide to low-income customers that has to be promoted. They have to be aware of that discount and apply for it. No different than you have to do with our Department of Water and Power. And that's one thing we need to do, is make sure that people are aware of that. You know, just coming back from Massachusetts, my wife had one complaint because in Boston, I guess the average temperature was about 27 degrees, and she couldn't get hot water. We had to shower in warm water, but not hot water. And the reality is, here in California, we tend to take our weather for granted. But, you know, we're not dealing with below 20-degree temperatures. And that is an advantage for our city. At the same time, I think that we need to recognize that back in Boston, when you turned on CNN, they were talking about California's energy crisis. And so again, this is important information, because the cost of energy is going up, and someone's going to have to pay for it. I think we have a clear understanding today that the gas company is a distribution company, and they're not the reason it's going up. Mr. Friedman suggested that we become advocates for cost controls in regards to the energy cost. And I would like to, at this time, propose a motion that makes part of our legislative agenda in Washington inclusive of those kinds of cost control measures, so that we do accomplish something today of becoming advocates for that on behalf of our constituents. Okay? And that's been seconded by Mr. Burnson.
All right, let me just call your attention to my amending motion, which Ms. Chick joined in, that requests the Department of Water and Power to bring to the Commerce, Energy, and Natural Resources Committee at its first meeting in January a series of recommendations. Well, Laura, can I just, since I'm talking to him, can you just wait for a second? A series of recommendations as to what state and federal actions specifically we should be supporting. So I think your motion and my motion are concurrent. It's just that we'd like to get the committee a chance to hear a whole panoply of options and then certainly move forward in the spirit of the motion.
Should be part of the motion.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me for interrupting you. And that actually is what I wanted to say, was to call everybody's attention to this. Mr. Holden is next, and then Ms. Chick to close. Is Mr. Holden here? Mr. Holden's on the phone. Ms. Chick, would you like to close?
I think
he's coming back. Hold on. Sorry.
I think I'm introducing Mr. Holden.
I think you are, but I'm holding your time.
It's going to be an easy decision for me. Mr. Freeman, you're saying you want to cap the rates that's been charged to our consumers. Is that correct? Basically, bottom line.
The electric rates are capped, yes.
Right.
The electric rates are capped.
I mean,
yes.
I mean the gas.
Well,
we don't sell
he
gas.
He doesn't have jurisdiction over gas.
Not yet.
That's correct. Not yet.
All right, I see this letter here from
Steal his hat, Ann.
From the gas company saying Ms. Smith is going to be here. Ms. Smith, what's your position concerned
I'm the
about
Vice
this?
President for Customer Services for the gas company.
Yeah, well, we're talking about gas and power.
I'm sorry?
Because if we're making a big profit on power, then can we do some trading is what I was going to suggest. And keep our rates low for our customers.
Do some trading. I'm not sure I...
The problem is that they're in the electric business too. These folks, they're Sempra. They are a gas company and an electric company.
There are gas company partners and our electric company competitors.
All right,
yes.
all right, go ahead.
Okay, now Ms. Chick to close.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think some of the information that's before us today is key. We'll be coming back with even more information. The gas company has been diligently going from office to office in terms of council members to do some of the outreach in terms of educating consumers how to protect themselves against these, for the moment, unavoidable rising gas prices. However, in terms of Mr. Hernandez's comment about information, getting information to consumers about some of the discounts that they might be eligible for, I'm hoping that you'll keep a steady supply of easy-to-read materials for us to have in our district offices. We can distribute them to senior centers, et cetera, and work with the gas company that way. Also, I'm eager for further information to go through committee in terms of what Mr. Hernandez was intending and Ms. Galanter. It clearly seems that we have some encouraging to do and working and partnering with our colleagues in Sacramento and in D.C. And in terms of consumer protection, I think the era of regulation absolutely needs to return, Mr. Freeman. And then finally, Mr. Freeman suggested the possibility of some kind of a rebate program similar to the ones that DWP runs to help customers bear the expense of converting to lower usage furnaces, et cetera. So I hope that that's something the gas company's looking at. Again, city council offices can help get the word out to the public.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So the only item before us actually is the amending motion, which we will assume Mr. Hernandez's motion is a piece of.
Since I have not been unduly complimentary to the gas company, I would like to offer, for the record, a petition that San Diego Gas and Electric, a subsidiary of Sempra, made a request for emergency relief, asking for price ceilings, a motion before FERC that we are supporting, but we hope and trust that Southern California Gas Company will also join in and help us.
All right, let's let her respond to that, and then we still have 20 items to go.
Okay.
Go ahead.
We do have furnace rebate programs. We do have low income, and in fact, we are part of the Sempra Energy Company that supports the call on the federal agency to reinstill the price cap. So we are there already.
And one last point, we are proposing to our commission a solar hot water heater program, which would be very timely, and it would be very important for the gas company to co-partner with us.
Mr. Freeman, this is really not the place for you guys to be negotiating your partnerships here. We're all very supportive of working together, but I think we've finished our presentation for the morning. So I'd like to ask the council to vote on the amending motion as amended by Mr. Hernandez's motion. We'll open the roll on that, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you. That is approved forthwith on that. And thanks to both of you for being here. I appreciate your time. All right, next item.
Before going back to the regular agenda, item 89, the request from the EERC to continue that matter until Friday, December 15th.
89. All right. Members of the council, because the EERC has not yet met this week, we're going to ask for a continuance on item 89. Without objection, that's continued until Friday.
Friday, the 15th.
All right. Also, let me announce to you while we have a momentary hiatus here that we seem to be unable to muster a sufficient number of council members for Thursday to hold a meeting on Thursday, which means that what the agenda that would have been tomorrow and then would have been Thursday is now going to be combined with Friday's agenda, which is our last meeting of this calendar year. So everybody should please, please make an effort to get here on time and plan to stay for quite a while. Or not say anything.
Madam President?
Mr. Fewer.
Thank you. With respect to item 46, which had two reports, budget and personnel, it's been brought to my attention that while I moved the Budget Committee report, which passed, the Personnel Committee report is actually the more extensive, detailed, and the better
So
of the
you
two.
would like to reconsider?
To reconsider 46 for the purpose of moving B rather than A.
All right, is there any objection to that? Seeing none, item 46 is reconsidered. And I had called item 61 special and don't need it to be special, so let's open the roll on 46B and 61. Close the roll, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Those are both approved forthwith on those. Okay, now, that puts us
Next
down
on the
to
special items, item number 6, called special by Councilmember Holden.
18 items, maybe Mr. Holden. And could you push the speaker
President,
button, please?
I just want to have
Push the button.
a report on this before we push the button, if you want. It's okay
good.
by you.
Item 6. Do we have anybody here on item 6?
Yeah, I think they do.
Could we have a brief report?
You tell us what you're
No,
doing, why you're doing it, and how
he
this
wants
came
us
about.
all to have a report on it. Or do you want to report on it personally?
The reason why I want to report, Madam President, I think this some time ago we had a
Okay,
big...
all right, okay, he's going to report.
John Dugan with the Department of Recreation and Parks. The item before you today is a
request to contract with a bankruptcy attorney. The department finds itself with an operator of a golf facility that has entered into bankruptcy proceedings. In order to provide ourselves with the proper advice, working with the city attorney, we did find an attorney in New York that can help represent our concerns. And that's what the item before you is today, is approval of that contract.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Holden?
Yeah, my question is that this is the same contract, I believe, where we had a big lengthy discussion about it in your district when we had a public meeting where there were two competing contractors at RFP, and the board of the Rec and Park Commission recommended this particular one, although the other one was giving us a better deal. And I think it turns out that there was so much heat put on this contract effort that the Rec and Park took it back and then sent out another RFP, because I want to complete history. And then they selected this one. When there was some discussion about the fact that they were not financially able to comply with the terms and conditions of the contract that they were agreeing to. Is this the same one that we're talking about, sir?
You're entirely accurate in that there were two proposers, American Golf and Family Golf, and there were in fact two actions by the council to bring the actions of the Board of Recreation Park Commissioners before the full council. The final action that was approved by the Board of Recreation Park Commissioners, and this is actually the third review of it, and was also approved by the City Council, was an award of a 10-year agreement with Family Golf Incorporated. Prior to that, there had been two actions by the council to Prop 5, the board's action, awarding an interim permit and a 10-year agreement to American Golf.
This is not American Golf.
No, this is Family Golf. This is the last RFP action.
What happened to American Golf?
They were not recommended.
Okay, fine. I think Ms. Galanter, were you the one who Prop 5 this? Well, it was Prop 5 by a member of the council, and I got to tell you that there was a big discussion about it. And the reason why I call it special, I just wanted to point out the fact, here's a clear example when the council was right, when the competitor to the Family Golf was a better deal for the city, and it was ramrodded through. Now, we have to spend money for legal fees, and we don't know how much else we're going to lose, because they're not going to pay us any rental agreement, any parts of that. Is that correct? Are they going to pay us at all?
Up until this time, they have been in full compliance with their contract, and they have been paying us, except for a 10-day period. They have paid us all of the rent that they owed to the city.
They have paid all of it?
Yes.
Oh, so what do we need a legal fee for?
They have entered into bankruptcy proceedings.
Which means they may not pay anything henceforth.
That's correct. And the most recent action is to give the department notice that
okay, all right. Well, the simple thing to do is they're not in compliance with the contract. So we have to cancel the contract. That's what you ought to be recommending.
We have a board report tomorrow that recommends to the board that they give notice of breach and 30 days to cure the agreement.
All right, fine. That means they'll be out. Very good.
That's right, correct. But the item before us today is to hire an attorney to deal with the bankruptcy.
I want to know where they want to go with it.
Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough.
Because we want them out of there.
Okay. Item 6 is now before us. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That's approved forthwith on that. Next item.
Item number 14. Mr. Fuhr called that special to be recused.
Yes. Walk out of the room. Okay, open the roll on item 14. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That is approved forthwith on that item. Somebody go tell Mr. Fuhr to go. Oh, he's back, okay. All right, next item.
Item number 21, called special by Councilmember Hernandez for an amending motion.
Mr. Hernandez, Mr. Hernandez, there you are. Item 21, we have an amending motion.
Yeah, Madam Chair, and item 21 is before everybody. The reason we needed to amend the report was to allow for us to be able to expedite some of the contract work that has to be done in regards to the human service delivery system. And we were finding that the equal benefits provision was very complicated for so many of our contractors because they act as subs on behalf of other corporations. So this basically would allow us to expedite the process and award them some of the funding that they need to do the programming that they're doing at this time. And I just ask for a unanimous vote on the Amendment 21A.
Okay, item 21A is before us. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
There's your unanimous
Yep,
vote.
thank you.
That's approved
Forthwith.
Forthwith. Next item.
Item number 25, called special by Councilmember Hernandez.
Mr. Hernandez, this is yours as well.
Yeah, Madam Chair, and this is not a biggie, but in terms of our constituents, I think it's very big. We just had an incident, I guess, last Thursday or Friday morning in Echo Park, where you had basically an apartment building that its foundation collapsed, and we had to deal with the reality of one constituent who was killed in that accident and several others that were injured. But the other reality we had to deal with is the displacement of tenants. And as we were looking at the procedures that the department wants us to adopt today in regards to code enforcement and us being able to act in regards to some of these buildings where we have to move because of public safety issues and habitability. What we did not include in these procedures is any tenant relocation procedures. And I'm asking for it because here is a situation where we will be contemplating in advance the vacating of buildings. And we should be contemplating in advance a game plan for the placement of those tenants that will be vacating. In my district, on several occasions, we have to call in the Red Cross, we have to call in housing, we have to call in all these different departments to try and figure out how to place people. And it'd be nice if we had some procedures established in that regards. We had some cooperative agreements established in that regard. And if there was some contemplated plan as to what's going to happen with those tenants when we vacate these buildings. And so I just wanted to bring that up and see how we could work on those procedures and make sure they're part of our overall code enforcement procedures that we're being asked to adopt at this time.
Mr. Hernandez, this is an interim procedure. We have contacted LASA on the Echo Park apartment. We contacted the Housing Authority. We've worked with Council District 13 and the Mayor's Office. We've also contacted HUD about possibly using some block grant funds to relocate these people. Relocation, unless it's an act of God or an act of nature, is the responsibility, payment of the owner. Many times the owners do not step up to working with the federal government to identify a source and not trigger Uniform Relocation Act requirements, which are very expensive. They can run from $20,000 to $40,000, from 36 to 42 months. The rent stabilization ordinance does provide for families and seniors $5,000 and $2,000 for single persons.
Right, Mr. Penny, I understand that. But these procedures, in terms of the code enforcement procedures they're asking us, is there any plan for tenant relocation?
Again, these are interim procedures. We could incorporate some relocation notification. We are, if HUD does allow us to use block grant in this particular case, we could take a look at that in the future. I'm not ready to.
Right. So right now we've been reacting to a situation where we have to relocate tenants, and all I'm saying is here we're expediting our process and establishing our procedures for vacating a building that basically is dangerous, is not habitable. And in that, we should have some kind of a plan that would deal with the issue, what do you do with the tenants? And I'm just asking that that be included and that you work on that and bring that back to us.
We would bring that back. We're going to bring new procedures back. There's an ordinance coming forward that's on committee today that will change these procedures. As part of the new procedures, we will have a relocation policy.
Because that becomes the other question. And part of what we face, what I have had to face in the past, is the fact that I'm vacating the building, and we're, as a city, taking an action, and then we don't have a plan to what to do with the tenants that were there. And so then we're kind of playing catch-up. And that's why I'm saying if that's part of these procedures, then we have a contemplated plan as to what we're going to do in those instances.
Thank you, Councilman. The chair recognizes Councilman Fewer.
Mr. President, just very quickly, and not actually narrowly on point, I am increasingly being complained to by landlords concerned that as we go out and do our other systematic enforcement work, the inspection programs and so forth, that we have not been doing what I thought the council had directed, and that was to focus on the worst buildings first. Everybody gets inspected eventually, but to target areas of the city where we know it's highly likely that there'll be meaningful concentrations of substandard units, and be sure that we're not elevating in importance and in time a luxury building in Studio City over a meaningful habitability problem in Pacoima or in Westlake or someplace else. I thought we were, however, targeting the worst areas first. Is that not true? That was the direction from the council.
We have a protocol. If they've had a number of orders issued prior by Building and Safety, they haven't paid property tax, they haven't paid utility tax, we do target those buildings. Those indicate buildings that are in disrepair or in slum conditions.
There's a long list of such buildings. Have we finished that list yet?
When?
No, this one? No, it's ongoing. We're still working down through those.
Because I know from hearing from landlords who are operating high-end buildings in town that they've been inspected. And I'm really concerned about going after where we know the needs are palpable and taking care of that first in a program that has good intentions and has been troubled in its execution. And I really need assurances from the department, the housing department, that we're appropriately targeting the areas of the city and the buildings in the city that were really meant to be the focal point for the program, rather than other buildings where we should get eventually, but which are not our priority on this. Can I have a commitment on that?
Yes, I do. As part of the reorganization, we asked for an accelerated step team on buildings that you're talking about that are identified through the complaint process of this other protocol, so that we do not have to go through the whole procedures that we're currently utilizing.
All right, I would, speaking for myself, I thought the council's directive was clear on this, and I would rather that we focus on that exclusively, with no exceptions, on the buildings where there are substandard units to the best of our information, finish those, and then go to the other buildings in the city, assuring that every unit gets inspected, but only focusing on those other buildings first. And we're not doing that now, and I think unless that changes, not only are we wasting or misusing resources at the moment, but we're also undermining confidence in the efficacy of the program and perpetuating the very problems of lack of heat, hot water, holes in the wall, roaches, rats, all that stuff, in the huge number of units where a plurality of our children live in the city. So I need that prioritization to happen.
Ms. Mizikowski.
Following up on what Mr. Fuhr said, we also need a authentic review by both the housing code enforcement people and building and safety as to what it is that we do look for and what it was that occurred in the tragedy and the building collapse Thursday. And how are we inspecting? What are the signals, what are the signifiers of a problem that could have led or could have indicated that this building was potentially in a lot more dire condition than that we saw? I know proactive code enforcement was involved in there. I know that there was citation and fixing of some of the things that were cited. But the question is, were those things properly cited? that indicated that there was potentially something more serious. And so I think we really need a report back on that particular building, both in combination from what the Housing Department had been doing, and more specifically now Building and Safety as they look at that building, because is our list and our threshold, particularly in those buildings that Mr. Fuhrer has identified, the worst case buildings, the ones that have a litany of significant problems, some of which are serious, some which deal with life safety issues like heating, lighting, water, electrical problems. Those are pretty obvious. A question dealing with a foundation may not be so obvious other than these other indicators, which are a second or third level indicator. So we really need a really thorough analysis by our two agencies who are working on code enforcement to determine that we're looking for the right indicators in some of these older buildings and some of these buildings which we know are already on the list as being significantly problematic, significantly almost in a semi-abandoned state by the responsible parties, or creating the kind of switch and sale and confusion of ownership that is also an indicator that something's going on. So I'd like to see, in addition to these protocols and processes that we're doing today, are really another step of, are we really looking for the right thing to indicate a building that really is should rise to the attention of a very serious situation that is obviously life-threatening.
Okay. Mr. Burnson.
Yes, members of the council, I am very concerned, not obviously with the building that did collapse, but I'm a lot more concerned with the buildings that are substandard in our city, and I think that we've tried our best to try to get these buildings brought up to standards, to decent standards. Somehow, we have not been able to really affect the inspection program, and I know there are a lot of buildings, I know you have limited resources, but my understanding is we're charging $1 a unit, are we not, per month?
That's correct.
Okay. Have we hired any additional staff to effectuate these inspections, or have we just relied upon what was transferred from Building and Safety?
We've hired additional staff.
How many have we hired?
We have 53 inspectors in the systematic and about 25 in our complaint section. We've recommended a reorganization.
How many more have we hired? Just give me an answer to that, would you please? How many more have we hired?
We have 53 in the SCEP and 22
You just said that. How many more have we hired as a result of the money we're collecting from the property owners on the fee for inspections? How many more have we hired? I know we transferred a group of inspectors from Building and Safety. How many additional have we hired as a result of this?
I think there was originally 12 that got transferred, and so essentially we've hired the difference between 53 and 12.
So you don't know how many more you've hired. Have you hired any more?
Yes, we have, 41, but the problem the reason we're hesitating, Councilman, is we have had continuous turnover in those classes. We currently have 13 vacancies.
Hold my time while he's on this type of stuff, because basically, look, Gary, I don't want to pick on you, okay? Because I want to support you.
Yes.
I think that we have a crisis situation because we're not able to follow up. Either Building and Safety or Housing, whoever's responsibility is, we don't have the ability now or the will to follow up on complaints on Building and Safety either. And that bothers me. We passed an ordinance that required, that called for a 48-hour turnaround period on critical deficiencies in housing. And I just wonder how much of that is being enforced, how much of it is actually being, from what I heard, there were things that the city attorney's office said we couldn't enforce on there, where there was a lack of hot water, for example, or a lack of heat. Now, I mean, these are critical things. If I don't know how cold it was last night, but I guarantee you, if there were any apartments where they didn't have heat last night, they should have been subject to the 48-hour rule, where we call somebody in because the owner didn't take care of it, that we call somebody in and have it done and we lien the property. I just don't think that the city is effectively dealing with defective housing in the city of Los Angeles. I think we have to go one step further. Whatever it takes, we need to make sure that all the dollars that are being collected from the apartment house owners are used for inspectors. We need to put additional fines in place if necessary to hire more inspectors, and we need to get the program moving. This particular case is just one case. I don't know who's at fault here. Perhaps there was some criminal involvement, according to what's the investigations that I read about in the paper this morning. But I think that we need to do a better job. And Gary, I know you're doing the best you can, but maybe we need to give you additional resources. I don't know. Maybe you're not getting the resources that you should be getting as a result of the fees that are being paid for these inspections.
Okay.
If that's the case, I think you should advise the council.
Well, Mr. Burnson, bring in a motion, because your time's up.
Okay, I will. I'll bring in a motion
Please
that
do that.
requires all the funds that are collected to be used to hire inspectors.
Okay, thank you. All right, item 25 is now before us. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
City attorney, you're going to have to ask if we can target.
12 ayes.
Thank you. Okay, that's approved forthwith. Now, I apologize to Mr. Padilla, I skipped over item 23. So item 23 is now before us. Could you push your speaker button, please? Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President. This item was called special because there was two only slightly different reports from the different committees. And so I would move that we adopt the HCR committee report with an amendment to item 5 of that report that would designate the Bureau of Engineering as the lead on the project.
Got that? All right. Open the roll on Mr. Padilla's motion, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved as amended, forthwith. Next item.
Item 27, called special by
27.
Councilmember Miskowski.
Yes, item 27 reconsidered, and
Members of the council, this is the issue on changing the state law as it relates to graffiti offenses and graffiti offenses in an aggregate. Last time this was on the council agenda, we had the communication from the Intergovernmental Relations. We had 3 amending motions. When I had spoken to the fact that the CLA indicated that that some of this had been handled, basically only one of the items, that is item C on the council agenda, has been already done by state legislation. I am happy to call forward the staff that I see coming to the table and would like a report from the staff, particularly both the CLA and the police department, on their recommendation and their review of the motions as they were presented.
I'm Michael Karsh with the Legislative Analyst Office. What Councilmember Miskowski was talking about was the Adam Schiff bill, which was enacted. However, it was enacted without the aggregation provision, which is the proposal before you. However, since that time, and in council today, outside in the hallway, the city attorney and the police department have advised me that with the enactment of Prop 21 earlier this year, the felony provisions for graffiti offenses have been put at the felony level when you reach $400. This was not the provision before, and that was one of the reasons why aggregation was recommended. It was one way to get to a felony status for an offense of graffiti. Now, with the new provision in Prop 21, there is another way to get to felony status for graffiti offenders. And therefore, it is I believe it's the recommendation of the police and the city attorney that there is sufficient existing law to handle this situation. Mr. Burnson, however, believes that his proposal for aggregation is still valid, and that at least it should be on the docket when we lobby in Sacramento. If we get full satisfaction that we're getting as much as we need to have, that would be another matter. And also, Mr. Holden recommends consideration of the Ridley Thomas motion and the Holden motion. Yes,
we're
sir.
on 27. Okay, Mr. Burnson.
Members of the council, I understand that a portion of this legislation has already been put into effect by the Adam Schiff legislation, dealing with the misdemeanor portion, which basically was the provisions that were provided for in Ms. Miskowski's amendment, which I would have been happy to accept, but that's already been enacted. I would ask, and I don't have any objection to the 2 other amendments, one by Mr. Hernandez and one by Mr. Holden. We're not enacting the law. All we're doing is suggesting legislation that will give us the tools to deal with a very important and problem that we have in our city. So I would suggest that we move forward with it, and the CLA can clean it up to the portion that the portions that have not already been addressed. Let me just point out to you that 50% increase in graffiti has taken place since the first of the year throughout the city. 50%. And we're not able to keep up with it. The police, and I must say the Devonshire Division have been terrific in our district. They've worked with the community and everything else. But with the new assignments and putting more officers in the patrol cars, I don't know what's going to happen with that. They're doing away with special departments. So I don't know whether we're going to have the ability to have assistance with the sandblasters and with the getting rid of graffiti in our area. Something has to be done that is a deterrent. Now, in coming up with what was proposed, we didn't just do it arbitrarily. This was done with the graffiti workers in our district. It was done with Chief Bostic, who was the Valley Chief of Police. It was done with Judge Fiedler, who's the presiding judge, and our office, and with Building and Safety. So I would urge that we move forward with this. We're not making the law, remember that. We're just asking the legislature to give us the help that will be required in order to deal with the problem and make it a deterrent. Right now, the limit, I believe, is $400. Anything under $400 is not even considered a misdemeanor. I believe it's considered an offense. Is that correct?
No, sir. Anything under 400 is a misdemeanor. Each offense has a maximum 1 year in county jail.
I see, okay. In order for it to be considered a felony, it would have to be over $400.
That's correct.
But the way they're doing it is each particular item that an individual might do, who's the same tagger, is considered individually. They're not added together, and that allows them to get away with that. And I think that we can do a better job, but we need help from the state legislature, we need help from the courts, and we need help from the police department. We need to give the police department and our community volunteers the tools they need to clean our city up, and it's because it's getting very, very bad. So I would urge an aye vote. We would ask the CLA to amend what we're asking for so that it doesn't include any of the things that are included in the Schiff legislation, which has been passed and signed by the governor.
Thank you, Mr. Burns.
Thank you very much.
All right. Members of the council, I missed this somehow. We do have one member of the public who wants to be heard, so we're going to... Did we already have a hearing on this? No.
Yes.
We did. All right, do you want to have it? It's up to you then. We've had a hearing on this before. So we have one member, Mr. Candido Perez. You're up next, Mr. Holden, but you're not a member of the public. You're a
Thank you,
councilman.
Madam President and council members. The Reverend Anthony Scandell opened up today's meeting by saying that we are all entitled to life, liberty, and happiness. And I would just like to add one thing, graffiti clean neighborhoods. And I just thank you for taking this issue on today. I also have a pen I'd like to pass out to everybody, so I'm going to give these to the officers.
Thank you. That closes the public hearing. Mr. Holden is next.
After studying my amendment, the verbal one, saying that this does not reach to the status of a strike to avoid that complex situation as we know it, I think that the multiple graffiti offenses should be, and they're going to spend them in the county jail. You cannot say it's a felony if you're just going to end up in the county jail. A felony say you have to go to prison. And so I think that it's a misdemeanor rather than infraction, Mr. Burnson. So I think we got to be more clear on that. And it'd be nothing but just a name. It's just that you're calling it a felony, but it's really, you're not being punished as if it were a felony. But it's for the multiple offenses, you probably want to be a misdemeanor with a certain time in jail anyway. Mandatory, like rob a home, go to jail, like use a gun, go to jail. And when you affix graffiti on somebody's property, it's going to be over a certain amount of money, then they get a certain amount of time in jail. I think we should be clear on that. There's nothing worse than, my view, than graffiti except throwing trash all over the street, dirtying up our city and things like that. But I think we have to really be very certain about what we're doing here, because okay, well, fine. I think then we should strike felony. I know, but then you probably should separate the question. Mr. Bernstein, this is what I think I like to do, and I'll talk to you about it. It's a misdemeanor rather than infraction. It is a misdemeanor. Oh, of a certain amount. Yeah, but what if it's under?
It's a misdemeanor.
Even if it's
under 400?
If each vandalism, each act under $400 is punishable by 1 year in county jail, that can be served concurrently or consecutively up to the judge. If you had 5 acts of vandalism under $400 right now, you could do 5 years in county jail.
Well, why do we need this?
I have no idea.
Whether we really don't need this. Mr. Bernstein, we probably don't need this. What do you think, Mr. Bernstein? I don't think, if that's the case, we probably don't need it. I didn't know we had all that on the books. Nobody told me that in the committee.
I have Mr. Veronica here. He's the city attorney's hardcore. He can give you the law.
Hold on, it's Mr. Ridley Thomas's turn now. Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Madam President, members of the council, I seek a clarification, and it's on 27B. There's an amending motion that has been offered that pertains to the matter of 3 strikes. And it essentially, and Mr. Karsh, you might wish to clarify what your understanding is of our action. It is to support, if amended, to state the aggregation of multiple graffiti offenses resulting in felony status will not be counted as a strike within the 3 strikes statute.
Yes, sir.
Members of the council, that is my motion, and if that is not adopted, I should let you know now that I will not support this. That the count as such not be factored in the 3 strikes
Well,
statute.
that came from the committee that way.
Well, it's explicated here. I don't know that it did.
All right, wait, it's Mr. Ridley Thomas's time.
Yes.
So let him finish.
Thank you. It's accepted. I just wanted
Okay.
to make sure that we had that.
Mr. Hernandez.
Members of the council, yesterday on North Broadway, there was a building that was kind of a pink hue that was graffitied. And as we were driving by, there was a crew that was painting it the same color of the building, kind of pink. And I noticed it, and they were cleaning out the graffiti. Now, that crew was made up of court referrals, whose job is basically as part of that community project. If they get caught as taggers, they basically, the court is sentencing them to cleanup duty. And it's a program that's working. Now, I have a problem with graffiti in my district, except that I'm finding us cleaning it up. And it's being done by court referrals. And it's a war. They tag, we clean. They tag, we clean. Some of the tagging that's more bothersome to me is when it happens on murals, because that takes a lot more work. And when it's giving a message of a neighborhood that's being held hostage by gangs. And it's important that we deal with that issue. But for some reason, the graffiti's not the problem. It's the gangs. And when I say that, I think that we have to identify what we're talking about, because a gang that is holding a neighborhood hostage is a much graver consequence than the graffiti that's on the walls. And we got to allow LAPD to deal with those gang members. I'm bringing it up because I know that when I have clear working in my neighborhood, the reality is we put shooters away for 2 years, they come out, and we're dealing with the same kinds of issue again, but it's the same players. I think the same thing happens with graffiti. It's the same players. I'm not sure making it a felony solves the problem of enforcement. And I would not be supportive of that. I need you to know that. I will be supportive of giving a judge discretion and prosecutors discretion to sentence people to do time for destroying public property and private property. And I think that that's what we've been told is already on the books.
Yes.
And so why we're having this discussion is very confusing to me because, I mean, maybe it makes us feel good to say we made it a felony. It's not going to change law enforcement's ability to enforce the law. And I think many of us are expressing different kinds of concerns. And so from my perspective, I'm willing to support the amendments that are before us, including not making it a felony.
Mr. Bernstein.
Well, I think, Mike, that you said the magic word that is my argument for the purpose of making it a felony. And that is that they keep doing it over and over again and over and over again. The purpose of punishment is not just to punish people, it's to be a deterrent. You need to make the penalties tough enough so that it will discourage people from continuing to do it. Now, right now, that's not happening. Whether it's the police's fault or whether it's the court's fault or whoever's fault it is, the same people are coming out. We have the laws on the books now. Why are they not working? The answer is that what's on the books now is not working. Is that correct? Yes or no?
Councilman Marty Varanacars.
I'd like a yes or no.
City Attorney's Office. I believe they're working, and I believe that
Well,
Prop 21...
I believe you're wrong. We have a
Thank you.
50% increase. We have a 50% increase in graffiti throughout the city right now. And for some reason, either the city attorney's office, the district attorney's office, the police, or the courts are not doing the job they need to do to stop it. Now, maybe they don't have the tools to do that. I don't know. Maybe they don't have the will to do it. Now, I don't know whether there are votes around this council for the felony portion of it. Obviously, I'll take whatever I can get that'll be a deterrent. But I'm telling you that we deserve better. Now, somewhere along the line, somebody is falling down, whether it's the courts by not giving the enforcement. If somebody's sentenced to a year today, how long do they actually serve? Do they serve more than a month or so?
They serve approximately half-time.
Half-time, okay.
In county jail.
Well, the point is, how many convictions? How many convictions do some of these people have?
For graffiti offenses?
Yeah.
I think that you have very few vandals, graffiti vandals, who are prolific graffiti vandals who are convicted.
Look, I'm going to tell you what's going on, okay, in case you don't know. The same people who are going out and eradicating the graffiti that they've created, they love it. They love going into other areas. You know why? Because it creates new space for them when they get through with their community service. They go right back out and put the graffiti back where they took it off. And that's what's going on in our city right now because we either don't have the ability or the will or whatever to enforce it and to deter it. Now, if this council doesn't see fit to take a stand against this thing, I have no control over that. I did my part. I brought it here. Obviously, whatever the council will give us as far as deterrent is concerned, in addition to what we have now, I'll be happy to have at least that. But I think that we need to rethink the ability to impose in flagrant cases where somebody is a repeated violator to have the ability to make that a felony. And I don't think we have that now, and I think we deserve to have that as a deterrent.
Mr. Holden.
On the report, Mr. Thomas, last paragraph, Mr. Thomas, on the report, last paragraph, it says that aggregations
Yes, sir.
under the right circumstances while avoiding the pitfall of a three-strike law should be pursued, which means that even if we adopted this as it came out of the committee, it was not to be considered a three-strike. So that's already incorporated as part of the report.
Yes, I suspect there was a need for explication because what you just read, Mr. Holden, I don't know was easily understood.
Yes, that was clearly understood.
Well, I know that I'm not the brightest guy you'll ever meet, but I didn't quite get that. That's why I wanted to make it clear that this does not.
First of all, it's clear that it won't be three strikes, number one. Number two, I do have some concerns in retrospect about even suggesting that it should be a felony, given the fact that what's on the books right now is pretty tough. So if that's the case, you've convinced me. Is it tough or not tough?
Councilman, if Marty Varenikar, City Attorney's Office, if I can put a little perspective on this, we tried twice legislatively to change the law to secure aggregation of damages for graffiti. We failed on that. As a result of that, Prop 21, the Gangs and Juvenile Justice Initiative, was enacted with the change to drop the penalties.
Okay, my time is running, so.
To drop the penalties to $400 for graffiti offenses, at which time those offenses could be charged as felonies. That's currently in the law at the present time.
All right, now I want to just say that if we can have put together some amendment would suggest that you get a mandatory jail time and/or community service, to pass a bill like that, I think that'll be acceptable and accomplish what we really want, Mr. Burnson. And I'd like to make that as a substitute motion for everything that's on the books. And that means you're not talking about felony, but mandatory time served plus community service work, and that is cleaning up graffiti. That would be my motion. Can I get a second?
I'll give you a second, provided one thing. I think on second or following offenses, there should be at least mandatory time served.
I'm saying that.
Yeah. On first offense, if they want to just give them community service, I don't have a problem with that. Second offense after that ought to be jail.
And that's the motion has been seconded.
I'll second that.
And all of that is a substitute for what's listed in the, is that right, Hal? Okay. All right. Now, who can explain to us one more time what is actually before us? We have first the motion, hold on. We have the motion to substitute Mr. Holden and Burnson's proposal for everything that is on the report that's actually before us, okay? So open the roll on whether to substitute. Close the roll. Sorry? What item is it? 27?
Mandatory
This is
jail
only
time
on
and/or
whether to
community
substitute.
service.
Now we're going to discuss what the actual substitution is. That's what we want to hear. All right, that is now substituted. The substitution was approved. So we're going to see, Conrad, see if you can read that back.
In place of everything that's on the agenda today, there's a substitute motion. In place, mandatory jail time and/or community service.
Okay, now, will you
What about
guys try to
dropping
explain?
felony?
Well, it's after the second offense is mandatory.
Anytime, mandatory,
Jail time after the first offense.
After the first
offense.
Right.
Okay, and on the first offense
And community service.
is, right, and Mr. Hernandez.
Can we amend that to have Mr. Burnson request Councilmember Goldberg to carry it for us?
Let's just try to get a vote on it since we
Being
have...
as she supported this originally, I will ask.
No, look, guys, come on, we still have the whole agenda here.
Just
Mr.
as a
Fuhrer.
point of order,
Yes.
is the substitute motion replacing the possibility of this being charged as a felony?
I believe that it is. Okay. Now, are we all clear that it does replace somebody's previous position that this should be a felony? Okay. Everybody ready? Open the roll on 27 as amended, as substituted. Okay? Close the roll. Tabulate the votes.
9 ayes, 2 noes.
Okay, that's approved. All right. Forthwith on that. Now, let's try one more time to move forward to the next item. The next item.
Item number 31,
What
called
did it-
special by Councilmember Holden.
Okay, item number 31, and we also have a card. Mr. Holden? Mr. Holden? You called item 31 special? You called item 31 special?
I did.
Hit the speaker button, please.
Right. The city attorney should come up and tell us about the constitutionality. In the report, they said they will give a report, so we'd like to have the report.
Morning, Cecil Marr from the City Attorney's Office. Deborah Sanchez is the author of the report that should be in your packet. Commander Ibarra is here from the Police Department. Earl Thomas is from our criminal branch. He'll introduce his his staff that he brought with him, and in addition, Brian Williams from the City Attorney's Office is also here.
Thank you. I have
Mr. Holden, hang on one second. Mr. Holden asked specifically to have the city attorney comment on the constitutionality of this.
The ordinance that you have before us is our efforts to...
The litigation and it's being litigated, so that's what you're going to give us a report on as well.
So comment on both. Go ahead.
Okay. As we explained in the last hearing, this ordinance is currently in litigation. It's going to go back to the district court after a hearing from the Ninth Circuit. Our efforts, and Deborah Sanchez can go into more detail if it's necessary, our efforts with this ordinance are to try to make this ordinance defensible in federal court so that it avoids some of the issues that were spotted by the Ninth Circuit as being somewhat problematic. Specifically, we are attempting to design an ordinance which gives less discretion in terms of its enforcement so that we cannot be accused of violating people's First Amendment rights by picking and choosing who we are enforcing against. So if that explanation satisfies you, that's about the depth of my knowledge, and I can defer to Deborah Sanchez for anything further.
Well, is that enough, Mr. Holden, for the moment?
What changes are you making? I mean, it may be incorporated in here, but I think part of your report you suggest in order to make it acceptable to the Circuit District Court.
The changes that were made were actually a deletion of the notice provisions, which gave certain persons in businesses the right to notify individuals that they were violating the ordinance, and thus making them subject to arrest or citation. And in particular, the restaurant provisions have been completely deleted. The reason for that is because the business would most likely be privately owned, and there would be too many individuals with the discretion of whether or not to give notice to people that were soliciting on restaurant property or within 10 feet. The second large item that was deleted was the segment that deals with public transportation stops. And the Ninth Circuit was particularly concerned about this because it is traditional public fora. And in that, that segment has been deleted to alleviate that problem. Additionally, along with public transportation stops, they had there was also a provision where you could not solicit within 10 feet of the stop based on the captive audience theory. So those were the two segments that were deleted from the ordinance.
So we lost this fight so far in court, is that correct?
Well, actually, there was...
That's why you want to make some changes.
Well, I would say that it would significantly, it would narrow some of the issues, and I think that looking at the considerations that, or I guess the comments that the Ninth Circuit made, then they certainly raised some good issues in terms of how we can make the ordinance better.
Actually, some of the council members also raised some good issues before this was adopted. I think I might have been on the opposing side. It just, another clear example sometime when you say it's constitutional and you can defend it in court, turns out that we have a little problem doing that, haven't we?
Well, the final...
We had a little problem doing that, didn't we, so far?
So far, I would say that there certainly those issues had been raised, and yes, I would say that they were problematic.
Right. Okay.
Mr. Fewer.
Thank you, Madam President. You know, I want to be supportive of an approach that says, let's find a constructive way to get people who are harassing others on our streets to stop doing it. I asked in the last session on this issue for a table of some kind that would show how the existing laws on the books are inadequate to the task and how this proposed ordinance fills in gaps that the police need. I don't have any record of receiving anything to that effect, nor is there anything before us to that effect. And therefore, it becomes difficult for me to determine why this is a necessary next step, because the goal is a goal with which I am sympathetic. But I want to be sure I understand what differentiates this ordinance and why it becomes necessary in light of existing statutes. Does someone have information for me in that regard?
Councilman, I did actually have a letter that it listed several penal code sections, and I also indicated and gave examples of why those particular penal code sections would not apply.
Do others have copies of that? I didn't receive anything to that effect.
Let's make sure we get you copies.
No, I want to make it easy to understand this, but without seeing something that goes point by point, I can't do that. Do you have that available now?
I have a copy available.
Mr. Fewer, what I was going to suggest is maybe you would share your copy. I did notice when I finally turned around here that we did have 3 people who asked to be heard. Yeah, but there are 3 people who asked to be heard, so perhaps we can take a break in this while you look at that, and we'll have the public hearing, and I will call on these 3 people. Let me also remind you, we've had 1 council member leave. Please don't leave if you don't have an urgent appointment elsewhere, because whatever we don't get to today will go on top of tomorrow's agenda and Friday's agenda, all of which will be heard on Friday. And, all right, so I'll call first on Carol Schatz, representing Central City Association, then Kenneth Aslan and Joe Germain.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We are here to support the City Attorney's recommendation to slightly revise the aggressive panhandling ordinance in order that it may move forward and be enforced. The Council passed it 3 years ago after a year of hearings that began in the Public Safety Committee, and we believe that it is an extremely important issue for all of Los Angeles. It has particular importance to the downtown community, where we have a concentration of aggressive panhandling, which has a major chilling effect on business. We are talking, and I would remind the Council that we're talking about conduct and not speech. We are not talking about individuals who sit quietly on a corner with a sign. We are talking about individuals who ask for money, and when you say no, follow you down the street, try to block you on the sidewalk, approach your car, all of which are intimidating and frightening acts that affect our downtown employee population, our tourists, our business people and our businesses. This is one of the major complaints that you hear people talk about when they say they don't like to come to downtown. Why? Because they are hit up constantly and by people who will not take no for an answer. Our understanding is that after a 3-year appellate odyssey, the courts have supported 95% of the ordinance. We're talking about 2 slight revisions. We like the ordinance the way it was originally passed, but we're willing to go along to get something enforced because the problem has gotten worse. And I would remind you that the business improvement districts in downtown alone, we didn't have time to contact our Valley BIDs and others, are contributing $50 million over 5 years to bring a better quality of life to their neighborhoods. And we just talked about graffiti. Graffiti, panhandling, aggressive panhandling destroy the quality of life in a neighborhood. Just to give you an example of the number of instances that our bid patrol encountered this year on aggressive panhandling alone between January and November, 2,000 instances. That's money that the private sector is paying to have a crew of people out on the streets to deal with people who are really involved in unlawful conduct. Please help us clean up our community and support this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Aslan.
Again, as another downtown BID, we face these issues every day, aggressive panhandling. Panhandling is different, as Carol Schatz stated, where people are quiet and asking for money. But what I witness on a daily basis is where a panhandler comes up to, say, a mother with children at a bus stop and prevents them from getting on the bus just until they would give some money to the panhandler. These are the issues that are being dealt with, and that's why it's very important to keep this type of statute in effect in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Germain.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yes, as a representative of the Fashion District Business Improvement District, I can tell you that we also receive these same complaints on a daily basis, particularly blocking exits from parking lots, things of this nature where they seem to have a captive audience, where the panhandlers do. And again, it's aggressive, don't take no for an answer type approach. Recently, we hosted the International Downtown Association for Business Improvement Districts from throughout the world. And I had several comments that were made to me about the blatant approach that were made to many of these people, and that's a perception that's obviously shared by visitors to our city as well as to the local business community. And any support we can get to get some law enforced along these lines. We've had a tremendous downtime with unable to approach that. And I certainly support the changes if necessary to get at least a portion of this through. Thank you.
Thank you. That closes the public hearing. Mr. Feuer, did you have any further comment before I call Mr. Hernandez?
Call Mr. Hernandez.
Okay, Mr. Hernandez.
I just wanted to ask, in my understanding, the ordinance before us basically will be deleting the term restaurant and public transportation stops?
Yes, that's correct.
So they will be able to do that in front of a restaurant, Panhandle?
Not aggressively. No, because there's two portions of this ordinance. One of them, the first portion deals with aggressive conduct. The second portion deals with site-specific locations. But one of the locations was restaurants, and that's been going to be deleted, or that's what we're proposing is deleted.
And why? I just want to understand why we're deleting restaurants.
Because in the restaurant provisions, there was a segment where it indicated that a manager, a supervisor, a security guard, and then it also named a police officer, would give notice to a solicitor who was within 10 feet of the restaurant. Now, if they gave notice and the solicitor remained there, then that individual would be subject to arrest or citation. Now, what happened in the Ninth Circuit is they gave examples of a Girl Scout as opposed to an anti-abortion protester. And the thought was that if the supervisor or the manager of the restaurant went out, they would not notify or they would not give notice to the Girl Scout, but rather to the anti-abortion protester. And the Ninth Circuit's feeling on that was that it could be, enforced with...
Discretionary. I mean, people
Yes.
could use discretion when they enforced it when they didn't.
And so the Girl Scout would not be subject to arrest or citation, but yet the anti-abortion protester. So therefore, it had the opportunity to quell certain types of speech and be selective. And I think based on those notice provisions and the issues that were raised by the Ninth Circuit, that there would...
Yeah. But that could happen any place.
You mean with this ordinance?
I mean, someone using discretion when they want to enforce it, when they don't want to enforce it.
Well, most of the ordinances, you're talking about a police officer making that type of decision, but in this case, it would actually be the
Restaurant
individuals,
owner.
restaurant owners, managers, supervisors, security guards. There was a list of individuals.
So if we hadn't exempted it, then there'd be no solicitation in front of that restaurant, is that correct? It would
There-
apply to everybody.
Yes, it would apply to everybody, but as long as it was outside of the 10-foot limit. Because there was also, although there wasn't, yes, it would apply to everyone.
Right, okay. I just wanted to kind of bring it up because it's kind of reversed, I think, from the intent of what we'll be doing in regards to restaurants. And then transit stops, are you defining them as bus stops, taxi cab stops, in front of hotels where you have transit? I mean, what is the definition of a transit stop?
Yes, I believe that applied to all public transportation, any stop.
So it could be at
Bus-
Union Station, a Greyhound bus depot?
A public transportation facility or stop, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, press the button again. Go.
All right. Thank you, Madam President. I've had a chance to review the city attorney's memo on this issue, and I will say, while I have some mixed feelings about the enforceability of what's before us, I think that it is designed to fill in gaps that exist among various statutes from public nuisance to assault. And I think the examples cited in the city attorney's letter are fair examples of the problem. I think that the situation Ms. Schatz described does cry out for an additional remedy, and I'm prepared to support the ordinance before us.
Good. In that case, open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved forthwith. Next item.
Item number 52, called special by Councilmember Walters.
Mrs. Walters, this one is yours.
Yes.
And could you hit the speaker
this-
button, please? Thank you.
Okay. Item 52, council members, is an item that I need some clarification on. This contractor that we're proposing to contract here seems to bring to mind a firm, I think this was a firm we had some problems with at the convention center when it came up for bidding, and I'm not certain about that. Does anybody have that information?
It's Charlie Sipple, Los Angeles Airport. We've had this contractor on board for about 9 years. They've been one of our better contractors at the airport. I'm not real familiar with what happened at the convention center. Really can't address that, but at the airport, they have been excellent.
Okay. Madam President, I'd like for this to be held until Friday and ask somebody from the convention center to be here, or somebody that had to do with contracting, this firm's history.
Could I make a suggestion? I'd be happy to hold it over till Friday. I don't think Friday will inconvenience the airport, but perhaps we could ask the convention center people to make themselves available to you in between. Because what I'm worried about on Friday, I have no problem with her doing it on Friday, except that I am worried about the size of the agenda in view of the fact that 2 days...
I'm not going to be available in between.
All right,
I won't be available
but you'll
tomorrow and...
Or Thursday.
Or Thursday, very much.
All right.
We'll see.
Well, let's hold it over until Friday, and we'll try to get you the information before it comes up in council, because I just want to make sure you get the information.
They could talk with Rodney Collins in my office.
Because I do want to make sure you get the information. I also want to make sure, if possible, we get this resolved before the council quits for the year. So,
well, I'd like to know about this company. If it was the convention center, I know it was a big location. I think convention center was it, and there were some serious problems.
I remember the problem at the convention center. I don't remember if it was this company.
This company, yeah.
Perhaps you guys could help try to get that information.
We'll do our best to
assembled.
track down the
All right, so we're going to hold item 52 until Friday.
Thank you, Madam
Which
President.
brings us to,
Item 62 by Councilmember Fuhr.
all right, Mr. Fuhr.
Thank you, Madam President. With regard to item 62, the only question I have is this. There is a provision sort of buried in here that would allow for additional flexibility, the word of in the ordinance, in the statute rather, in the alternative fuel fleet transition program. Now, flexibility can mean a lot of things. It could mean continue to allow a lot more diesel vehicles, or it could mean, gee, if you already have a vehicle that's about to be taken out of service, you can wait for the extra year to take it out of service. I don't know what that means here, and before we support this, we should know whether we're supporting a piece of legislation that is consistent with the city's increasingly beneficial policies regarding public health and air pollution, or not. So can someone answer what it means to be flexible in the alternative fuel fleet transition programs? If not, if we could hold it till someone can answer that question.
Here
It
we
might be
go.
fine, I just want to be sure.
Barb Garrett with the CLA's office. The intent of that is as we buy new vehicles and the technology is new, we may run into some difficulties. And as we run into those difficulties, we need the flexibility to try to remedy and fix those difficulties, including building and safety standards and fire department standards to be able to build the infrastructure. So the concept was that the timelines might be a little flexible if we're not able to get our station online in order to purchase and fuel the vehicles. That was the concept.
But does the resolution that accompanies this is a request of the legislature to build in X, Y, and Z into that which is being contemplated, correct?
I think both legislature and administratively.
Okay, so we're requesting flexibility without defining what flexibility means. And the problem I have with that open-endedness, which in many cases is a very good thing, is that in this instance, it can allow jurisdictions around the state to wriggle off the hook when it comes to trying to implement clean fuel programs. You know, one person's flexibility is another person's loophole, and that's what concerns me, without the definition.
In the summary, the intent is discussed to give guidance. And so if you want to clarify the amendment, one of the other flexibility items was with regarding to the funding. Currently, there are certain provisions that require public access to stations that are funded with public dollars. There is some concern with having the general public access our facilities like our sanitation yards. One of the things we're discussing is trying to have public access, the definition extended to include other public agencies that we can reach agreement with.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Madam President, I appreciate Mr. Feuer's observation, but it should be noted that on page 2 of the report, this issue of flexibility is further refined so as to speak to the extension of compliance timelines, modifications to facilitate or afford allowable technologies, the ability to respond to safety and public concerns, etc. So this does not aggravate or diminish the possibility of doing the right thing with respect to funding all alternative fuel technologies. It does, in fact, make it more possible for us, in a sense, to accomplish that. So there will be no backsliding, Mr. Feuer. And with that, Madam President, I would move the report.
Mr. Burnson wants to be heard first.
I'm glad that Mr. Ridley Thomas has brought us up to speed on that. I was also concerned about this. Certainly, we support the second half, which calls for legislation to provide funding to help local agencies accomplish these goals. I would suggest, if it's not already in the second page, Mr. Ridley Thomas, that the agency that does use this or try to use as a loophole be required to make the findings of extreme hardship in order to effectuate a delay. Is that part of the? Is that part of this?
The intent in terms of the flexibility would accommodate that very concern.
And it does provide that they must show that there is a hardship and a. Well, I would seek.
It doesn't at this point.
I would seek to make a friendly amendment that in order to effectuate any deviation from the rules, that they be required to make a showing and make a findings to support hardship, extreme hardship, and I would so move.
Okay, let's then open the roll first on Mr. Burnson's amendment. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote. The amendment.
12 ayes.
Amendment's
You
adopted.
did the opposite of what you think.
The amendment's been adopted. Now open the roll on the item as amended. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
All right, that's approved forthwith. Next item,
Item number 64, called special by Councilmember Wax.
Mr. Wax.
Could we just get a brief overview of what's involved in this, Madam Chair?
Do we have somebody here to report on this? Item 64, water quality.
This is a recommendation from the mayor's office that the city sponsor or support legislation concerning water quality monitoring and research to support funding for that, and to provide funding for the research to identify water pollution sources and the relative contribution of pollutants of concern. Also, to provide funding for research and development cost-effective and technically feasible control measures to achieve water quality standards, and to provide funding for ambient water quality monitoring to ensure that water quality control programs and measures are progressing towards their goals.
Will it include monitoring for chromium-6?
It certainly could. We will do
I
monitoring.
would like to
without-
amend this to ask that we, recommend that the legislation specifically include additional support for the monitoring of chromium-6 and testing. It's just an increasingly imperative issue, and I just think we ought to be aggressive in trying to do all we can and seek help at the state level. So I'd like to recommend that you specifically include that.
Mr. Savornich.
Does the legislation also consider standards regarding bottled water that is sold in the state? I know we're
I don't
probably
believe that
talking.
would be the intent of it at this point. This is really funding in terms of DWP actions, I believe.
For TAP? But we could also ask and seek if there were any member of the legislature that would be interested and assuring that the quality of bottled water that is distributed throughout our state is of equal or better quality than what comes out of the tap also. Correct?
That is correct.
Then I would like to also ask that that be included in this also, because if we are trying to provide the best standard for drinking water in this state, then we should cover the entire range of drinking water possibilities, which are both tap and bottled, and I would like to ask that be included. And if it needs a motion to do so, I so move.
Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Madam President, your keen insight in terms of the council's interest in environmental issues is coming true with more speed than I had ever anticipated. I want to, yes, Mr. Savornich confesses that he had a wake-up call on November the 7th, so this is a range of things that happen to be going on here. But this matter is essentially designed to treat the questions related to LA River and not related to some of the other matters that have been mentioned, although they are obviously important. The issue of bottled water and regulatory oversight is a motion that is pending, and we will have an opportunity to address that. I would make an appeal to the council to allow this to go forward as is and to treat the balance of the issues as they come before us. That seems to me to be a more prudent way in this instance to do so, and we can have a clean a discussion about each of these issues rather than aggregating them, which could do something that's unintended. And so I would respectfully request this motion go forward in support of sponsorship as it is presented.
All right, let me just observe, since no one else seems to want to speak, that you want to withdraw your motion. All right, I would like to say I think the bottled water motion is a wonderful idea, but it probably should be done as a separate motion in view of the fact that the public is also often retreating from water systems that are monitored to the use of bottled water instead, which is not so well monitored. All right, so Mr. Ridley Thomas has requested that this go forward unamended. As I understand it, it's a fairly general motion anticipating the legislation would become more specific in the future. Mr. Wax has moved to specifically include one of the pollutants.
That the monitoring and all include monitoring for chromium 6.
Okay, so you accept the amendment?
I do that.
Okay, open the roll on item whatever we're up to here as amended.
64.
64 as amended. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Thank you.
All right, that is approved forthwith on that.
Madam President, if I
Yes.
could. Mr. Ridley Thomas has informed me of the error of my ways again, and
He does that.
Yes, he does, but he did it very effectively. With regard to item 62, I think Mark, Hal, and I all had the same concerns, but Mr. Ridley Thomas, who's been following this legislation closely with a coalition of environmental programs, indicates that the amendment that was offered, which I seconded for Mr. Bernson on the hardship, actually creates the ability to exempt oneself that otherwise would not have existed. So I'd like to move reconsideration of 62 for the purpose of eliminating the hardship exemption and
Okay.
just leaving it as it had been in the first place.
Here we go, watch this. Item 62 is now reconsidered, if there's no objection, and it is before us, Mr. Bernson has withdrawn his amending motion, so it is before us as it was before us at the very
Originally,
beginning
yes.
when we walked in the room. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
All right, that's approved as
Thank you,
originally
Madam
proposed
President.
and forthwith on that
We
as well.
salute the wisdom of Mr. Fuhr,
All right.
who openly confesses
Recognizing-
his
yes.
sins.
Okay, next item,
Item number 66, called special by Councilmember Wax.
Mr. Wax.
Again, I'd like an explanation of what is involved here.
Go ahead.
On September 29th, the council received a mayor's transmittal regarding legislative proposals for 2000 and 2001. And one of his proposals was to sponsor legislation that continues funding of the city's water reclamation projects. This was not proposed by Water and Power, this was proposed by the mayor, and we have no problem with that proposal, except to say that support of all projects rather than continued funding so that we could get new funding as well.
Okay. Mr. Savornich.
Does this include the East Valley Water Reclamation Project by chance, which is commonly known as the Toilet to Tap program?
It's not commonly known, only selectively known.
Selectively known as the Toilet to Tap program?
That project is at a point where funding would not be requested within the next couple of years, but long-term, it certainly could.
Does this have anything to do with this item on the agenda, though?
No.
No.
Or potentially?
Well, anything can happen
Anything in water
potentially,
recycling?
not
Anything.
specifically, no.
No, what I'm trying to do is that I would like to be supportive of item number 66 on today's agenda, in that does it or does it not include potential funding for the East Valley Water Reclamation Project as determined by the CLA's office or the mayor's office or anyone else? If someone could give me that answer, I'll know how to vote.
Maybe I can help. It's my understanding that this specific statement of support does not specify any projects one way or the other. It's a statement in principle that we want the state and federal governments to continue to help us with water reclamation as opposed to leaving us on our own.
Well, then
hypothetically, it could, but...
Well, then I guess I could clarify it, say then I would like to make a motion that item number 66 not pertain to the East Valley Water Reclamation Project, and I would like to make that motion, and then that way I'd be happy voting with item number 66. If that doesn't pass, then I won't.
And I would like to suggest that if that does pass, I will be voting no on the whole thing, and we will wind up with no state and no request to state and federal funding.
Well,
I think the issue, if I may, I think the issue of the future of the East Valley Water Reclamation Project should not get in the way of the fact that we are going to need the help of higher levels of government to fund any water reclamation or water purification or water quality projects that we undertake, probably even including conservation. So I would urge you to have the fight over the East Valley project separate from the question of whether we should get state and federal funding to help us out. Mr. Ridley Thomas.
If I may, am I up, Madam President?
Yes, you're on.
Let me just simply offer these couple of insights. We've had a number of hearings on the matter of the East Valley Water Reclamation Project. Some of us are of the decided view that this is a time-tested technology that will help alleviate a substantial problem that is anticipated with respect to water supply. It has implications for rate increases or the lack thereof and a whole range of issues. But the bottom line is it's arguably safe with respect to water reclamation and recycling. What I want to say more directly to the point, though, is the following. This does not directly impact on the East Valley Water Reclamation Project in terms of funding, and the reason for that is that that project is fully funded. This is aimed at other such projects that may indeed need to be supported by way of resources beyond those. So it would seem to me that this is fully appropriate to move forward without concern about the East Valley Water Reclamation Project. And on that basis, let me then suggest that we adopt that which is before us, and I would so move.
Mr. Burnson.
Well, Rudy, I appreciate your motion, but I don't think this is the place to have that fight. As pointed out by Mr. Ridley Thomas, I think that's already fully funded. There are many of us that do not support that concept. We're not convinced of its safety, but being as you are, I would suggest that we send all that recycled water to the 8th District, and specifically to your household.
That's right. Thank you so much. And we'll have you
But anyway,
for dinner.
Rudy, I did second your motion, but I'm going to withdraw my second. I'll tell you why. Let's have this fight another time. This is not the place. This basically is dealing with trying to get assistance for water reclamation projects throughout the city of Los Angeles, and I think we should vote on it as it is, as proposed.
Mr. Savornich.
I will take both my colleagues at their word that this issue, number 66, does not impact the East Valley Water Reclamation Project whatsoever, in that I've been informed by all parties that that project has already been fully funded, and that any request for funding in item 66 would pertain to other projects. With that, I will cast my vote for it and withdraw my motion, but I wanted to make it very well known that if indeed that the East Valley project was part of this request for fundings from the state or the feds, that I would not be casting that vote. But based upon the information that I've heard, I feel comfortable going forward.
Thank you. Mr. Ridley Thomas?
Madam President, members of the council, a discussion that will be exhausted at another point in time, but to the extent that reference to this project has been made several times, it should be appreciated. This is a project, the East Valley Water Reclamation Project, that will have citywide impact, not in any particular part of the city. My understanding it will be from Woodland Hills to Willowbrook, and as a matter of fact, in the harbor area in San Pedro, they have had long-standing recycling efforts comparable to what is being proposed, this form of technology, in many years, a couple of decades. And now Mr. Savornich said that explains a lot, and we'll leave it to our collective imagination as to what he means. But having said that, I think this is time-tested, and we can learn more about it, but we oughtn't create boogeymen, as it were, where they really don't exist. I don't know that that's responsible. I don't think it helps the public have a greater appreciation for the demands that we face to behave responsibly, and to the extent that that is the case, I'd like for us to work harder at clarifying the issues in terms of accuracy and not engage in efforts that may be misleading when we, in many instances, know otherwise. Now, we can have this debate now and on, Madam President. I'm
afraid we're going to. Mr. Wax is next.
All right, Mr. Wax.
Yes, Mr. Ridley Thomas, I was prepared to vote for this because of the explanation that it is not applicable, and I still am. And I was also prepared, and still am prepared, to have the debate on the East Valley Reclamation project insofar as used for potable purposes. When it comes to the council, as you know, we had our hearing for many hours, and we have a dissenting opinion. I rise only now because rather than leaving it like that twice now, you have chosen to editorialize on what you think is the merits of it, and I will simply, for the record, say that I disagree with you. I think that there's a serious issue raised by the East Valley Reclamation Project insofar as it's used for drinking water purposes and insofar as its relationship to the increasing contamination of hexavalent chromium, and that issue will be before us at a subsequent time, as you know, from when both of the committees to which it's been referred have their final hearings and a recommendation of the council. So it will be discussed at a later day, but I do feel it's important to clarify that we don't all have the same opinion on that. And I think it's also, you are right, however, in pointing out the fact that it's not just a Valley issue. I think too many people have thought that it's only a Valley issue because the groundwater supply is there. But the fact of the matter is, and I think it's going to be helpful for people in the rest of the city, and particularly in central Los Angeles, to know that they will be the ones that will be drinking that water as well if it passes.
Mr. Ridley Thomas.
Madam President, I find it difficult to resist the temptation to set the record straight. You wish for me to try to restrain myself?
Restrain yourself.
May the Lord bless you.
And you too, if you restrain yourself. Open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved, forthwith on that as well. Members of the council, I unfortunately have to leave for a long-standing appointment I can't change. So could I ask your indulgence that we take item 68 next, which I had called special?
Yes, after which I move adjournment.
Yeah, well, then we'll all stay till as long as it takes on Friday. I promise I'll stay. All right, well, hold on. If it's all right with you, item 68, I had called special to call to your attention one specific provision. I basically support the item. This is a report from Mr. Holden's committee. The one concern I have is that the resolution and report still contain a statement that was in the original mayor's transmittal from quite a while ago, opposing any federal legislation that preempts or overrides California's deregulation. And I would like to urge that we delete that statement. I don't think we want to comment on that at this moment, and that we support the balance of the report. So that's my motion. Somebody seconded that. Is that okay, Nate? Okay. Open the roll on 68 as amended. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That's approved. Thank you very much forthwith on that. And we're now up to item 67, which Mrs. Walters called special. Mrs. Walters?
I want to find out more about this, and does the DWP's debt impact on our debt ceilings that the council has established? And if they cannot, what would prohibit DWP from using tax-exempt financing?
Jerry Miller with the CLA's office. The DWP debt are revenue bonds from their revenues. They are not counted in the city's debt ceiling.
Okay.
There is currently no prohibition, as long as they meet tax law, no private use, but there are no prohibitions against them issuing tax-exempt debt. The purpose of this legislative position is to go on record indicating that the city wishes to continue the ability for DWP to issue tax-exempt debt.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Look at that, I haven't left yet. Okay, open the roll on item 67. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That's approved forthwith on that as well, and we jump, I believe, to 73.
73, called special by Councilmember
All right,
Walters.
Ms. Mizikowski has requested that we consider calling item 94 next. 94, which was on the continuation agenda. All right, well, everyone's looking blank. Let's do 73, and then we'll do 94. You got the answers? All right, open the roll on 73. I'm going to sit back down for a second here. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
73 is approved forthwith on that. 94 was the one that was called special. The remaining specials, if you look at the board, are quite a few. Yeah, I know. And, by the way, there are 4 specials that came in as well. Maybe we ought to do the 4 specials right now. Can we do? Let's do the 4 specials. Start with special number 1.
Special number 1 is a motion by Hernandez Pacheco. Findings need to be made.
Ms. Weingart.
I'm here. Gail Weingart, Assistant City Attorney. On December 14th, SCAG will be having a meeting, and it was just discovered that they are going to be considering the draft 2001 Regional Transportation Plan. Mr. Hernandez is asking for a proxy of all the council's votes on this because it is such an important issue.
Does that include the airport?
I think Mr. Hernandez could answer that.
Does that include the airport? Huh? Well, I may not want to give you my proxy vote, because I may want to go myself.
Oh, if you want to go, no, if you go
Any member who is
you cast
present,
the vote.
any member who is present cast their own vote. I have no problem with that. My intention was there was some amendments made on the regional transportation plan. For example, they withdrew Phase 2 of the Pasadena, Los Angeles Blue Line and so forth, and we want to make those inclusive. I encourage members to show up and vote.
Could we get a copy of the agenda in advance, substantially in advance, so we know
You
exactly?
probably have one in your office.
Yeah.
Because
Point of order. I haven't seen it, that's why I'm
Yeah,
asking.
all right, well.
Point of order.
Yes, Mr.
I
Burns.
think Mr. Hernandez should understand that in order for a separation to be effected, you have to have a concurrence of the county as well. The counties have to sign off on that as well.
Okay.
We are entitled to 16 votes, provided that there is a separation is approved. Now, there may not be, so we have never in the history, we've never affected a separation because it's never been necessary.
Right. And one of the things I found out was that we have this option as a city, and we rarely exercise. In fact, Mr. Burns has been the only other member who's exercised it in the past, so that we get our full count of votes when we're taking actions.
Yeah, the only difference is in the past, it was not necessary because we were able to communicate what our desires and then we were accepted by the regional
Right.
council.
And we've been communicating. Hopefully, they'll accept those communications. Right. Okay.
Okay, we're going to vote on the findings first. So, Mr. Clerk, would you open up the roll on the findings and tabulate the vote?
11 ayes.
Okay, special one is now before us. Mr. Hernandez, did you wish to speak again now that the item is before us?
No, just give them the power, that's all.
I just wanted to, again, I'm only going to be here 6 more months. Mr. Brinson will be here 2 years. When we deal with issues of transportation and housing and all these regional issues, what you need to understand is that we as a city do have 15 votes. 16 votes. Part of our problem is rarely do we have 15 members there. In fact, I don't think that's ever happened.
I think the most we've ever had is 3 or 4, yeah.
Well, no, one time we had 5 or 6 when they were trying to take away some of our transit dollars. Mr. Fuhrer showed up, Mr. Padilla showed up.
Yeah, and
But we
John
have
Ferraro
15
showed up.
votes. And this is a vehicle that Mr. Pisano reminded me of when I was talking about the balance of the reality of what we have to represent in terms of a city of 3.5 million people versus cities of 60,000. And he said, you always have the option of bringing in a proxy that gives you the right to use the city votes. And we rarely use it. And so that is why I thought it was important that we introduce it today.
Okay. Is there any other council member that wishes to speak on special one? Mr. Wax?
The difficulty is in giving a proxy on something that we don't know what we're giving a proxy about. We may have differences of opinion on some of the issues that are there. Certainly, if there are issues that we all agree on, then I think it's wise to have the most number of votes. But if there are issues where there is like, for example, I agree with you on the blue line. I'm happy to give you my support on that. But if there are other issues where there's a difference of opinion, before I give a proxy, I want to reserve, I don't want to give it, Mike, until I've read and understand fully what it is I'm giving it for. And I don't want to give it for something I may not agree with. So I'd like to sort of be able to hold, when is the meeting going to be?
Well, it's Thursday.
It's this Thursday?
This Thursday is this meeting.
No meeting tomorrow.
And their agenda just came out. And Mr. Wax, I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying, and I just would encourage you to show up and participate.
Yeah.
So that you can cast your vote and represent your constituents. Right now, our problem is we haven't had that kind of attendance, and a lot of the regional decisions basically do not include the perspective of our city. That's all I'm trying to say.
Can giving you a proxy be by a vote of the council, or can we each individually give you our proxy?
No, it's by vote of the council.
It's by vote of the council, according to their bylaws.
So even if there was a disagreement here, if a majority agreed...
That's right.
Right, and if you have it, I'm not here to to advocate something that would be
A real
opposite
issue
to
of
what you
mine
want.
was whether or not the airport expansion plan was coming up for a discussion as a part of that. Mr. Deaton, is that on there?
No.
No,
what you could do is that you could go ahead with the proxy, that if you had a problem, I think if you just communicated between now and Thursday with Mr. Hernandez, he wouldn't represent.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Wax. Chair recognizes Mr. Burnson.
Yeah, Joel, the Regional Council and the Transportation Committee, which I serve on, danced around the airport issue, basically. There was a lot of opposition to expansion. What they provided for were some alternatives. And some of those were Palmdale, the opening of El Toro, which the courts have now opened the way for, and so forth. So you need not be concerned on that end of it. In fact, basically, I think what Mr. Hernandez's concern is in protecting the city's projections, that some of the things have been taken out, for example, the second phase of Pasadena and a couple other things, and you need to have the ability. We may not even have to use it, just the ability that you have that stick there, but basically we've been able to sweet talk him in the future, and we've never had to really use the 16 votes, believe it or not. We've all, managed to get what we wanted without it by being nice guys, but everybody has tended to feel that Los Angeles is the big bully or whatever, And that was something we had to overcome. And I think now that we have a pretty good working relationship with the counties and the cities in the six-county region, and so I think we'll be able to get what we want, but it'd be nice if we have the ability to try to enforce things that are very important to us if necessary.
Okay. And I plan to use the wisdom of Mr. Burnson in my votes. He's been playing a greater role on that Transportation Committee, and that's important.
Is there any other council member that wishes to speak on this item? Hey, if not, Mr. Clerk, would you open the roll and tabulate the vote?
11 ayes.
That item is approved. Forthwith. Next item.
Special number 2, motions need to be found. It's a Fuhrer-Miskowski motion.
Mr. Fuhrer, on the findings?
Yeah, Gail, you want to do the findings and then?
Either way, it's fine. 3 times in the last year, trees were planted in the medians of the Victory Boulevard between Babcock and Goodland, and 3 times these trees have been vandalized and killed, basically. And on December 7th, the LAPD asked for a reward motion. This is a reward motion so that maybe somebody can find these people.
Yeah, Mr. President, if I might, the situation is really appalling. There are some medians on the street in this neighborhood, and we've worked very closely with a community that has been trying to change these medians from a source of blight into a source of beauty in their neighborhood. And again and again and again, vandals have come, and after this huge community effort in partnership with the city to plant these trees, they've cut them down. And the police believe that there are people in the neighborhood who must have seen something. And while many people in the neighborhood are being very cooperative and trying to be on the lookout, because we're going to do this one more time, the police really have requested our help in this, and I think it's a very important cause as a neighborhood is trying to turn itself around.
Mr. Burnson, you've pushed your button in regards to the findings, or would you like to speak
No,
on the
I
issue?
just, I support this, but I don't have a lot of confidence that there's going to be enforcement. We can pass all these things we want. You're not willing to do things on graffiti. These are the same type of people that are affecting graffiti throughout our city, and we're not willing to go to the mast and try to get, we have no guarantee. I didn't want to embarrass the city attorney's office before by asking them how many cases they'd actually prosecuted on graffiti. I can tell you that they are not prosecuting, and we have no guarantee there's going to be any enforcement. I'll be happy to support the motion, but I hope that we're putting some teeth into something,
But the
Maybe
police
we ought to,
actually
maybe
are
we
on
ought to do
special-
what they do in Singapore, public flogging.
Okay. Let's vote on the findings. Mr. Clerk, open the roll on the findings. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, now we have the item before us. Is there any council member that wishes to speak on the item? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, would you open the roll on Special 2 and tabulate the vote?
11 ayes.
Okay, that item is approved.
Thank you, Mr.
forthwith.
President.
Okay, forthwith. You're welcome. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Special number 3, findings need to be made. The motion is initiated by Padilla, Chicks, Vornich, and Burnson.
Madam City Attorney, let's do the findings first.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. On January 11th, 2000, the council adopted the Transportation Committee report, which approved the interim joint powers agreement, to oversee analysis of operating a San Fernando Valley Transit Zone. On December 4th, these findings were presented. There were findings that were presented, and the board took actions, among which was to extend it for 1 year. If you don't act today to approve this, this zone and the board will sunset on January 31st, or December 31st, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. Why don't we vote on the findings, then we'll talk about the issue. Mr. Holden, did you want to speak on the findings or the issue?
This is Murray's bill, Senate Bill 1101.
It's not the Murray bill, it's related to it as part of the preamble before the whereas, giving some history on the issue of the exploration of a transit zone.
There's no transit zone there yet.
No, there's not.
So what's the story then?
Well, as the city attorney explained, there's an interim joint powers authority that's been created to explore the feasibility of it. When the council approved the interim JPA last year, it was scheduled to sunset, cease to exist at the end of this year. The work continues, and
The rest of the cities in the valley, including the City of Los Angeles representatives, have asked for an extension of that interim authority to continue to explore into the year 2001.
To explore the possibility of having a
The
transportation
possibility
zone.
of it and whether or not to submit a formal application to the MTA.
Well, have you had any union comment on this? This is a special.
Yeah, they've been attending the sessions and
There's no union opposition? I mean,
I won't say they're supportive of it, but they're not getting in the way of extending the JPA.
they're not getting in the way of what?
Extending the interim JPA.
Oh.
Okay, so let's vote on the findings. Mr. Clerk, would you open the roll, tabulate the vote?
11 eyes.
Okay, the item is before us. Chair recognizes Mr. Burnson.
I just want to say the legislation which was passed in Sacramento requires that any new zones have the same requirements in the contracts as the MTA does. So that basically the unions are protected, Mr. Holden.
Thank you, Mr. Burnson. The chair recognizes Councilman Padilla.
Yes, thank you. And basically, colleagues, this motion calls for two things. One is for the council to agree to extend the life of the interim JPA. Second, it does call for a full committee report in Transportation Committee with a briefing and an analysis of all the work that's been done to date. And third, to respond to the issue that was raised by Councilmember Holden and addressed by Councilmember Burnson. Yes, up until this point, the consultant study that's been presented to the interim JPA does incorporate the new MTA agreement and the SB 1101, the legislation presented by Senator Murray and signed by the governor. I ask for your aye vote.
Chair was expecting to speak a little longer, Mr. Padilla. Is there anyone else that wishes to be heard on this item? Chair recognizes Mr. Holden.
Item 4 says, request each participating city and county to request Southern California Rapid SCAG to provide $150,000 with MTA providing $150,000 up to $300,000 needed for zone consultants and legal counsel to negotiate the transfer agreement with the MTA, develop the operational and financial plan to help resolve remaining subsidy issues, to determine cost-saving zone service elements, development operation schedule, etc., fleet plan. What you're saying is that you want MTA and SCAG to put up some money to make a study to decide the feasibility, whether or not you can have a zone which will pull away from MTA. Is that correct? Do I hear?
Mr. Chair, to answer his question, if you look at the motion, the only thing we're acting on today is to extend the life of the interim JPA. All the other questions, when it comes to the nuts and bolts of the process, is part of the report that has to go to Transportation Committee, which I would imagine is early January.
Okay. Let me just say one thing. I got to go walk, and I'll be right back. Go ahead.
Chair recognizes Mr. Padilla.
Move the previous question.
Well, Mr. President, I have a question.
Mr. Ridley Thomas.
I understand the desire on the part of members of the council who represent the valley to maximize the opportunity for a distinct, rather autonomous Valley Transit Authority, for the lack of a better way of characterizing it. The question that I need to have satisfied before I vote affirmatively on this is, and I assume it's to be considered special because of the December 31 hard deadline, correct, Mr. Padilla?
That's correct.
Does this, and perhaps we need the an independent person to comment on this in terms of staff, does this in any way vitiate what we decided by way of our support of legislation to essentially cause the new zones to conform with the existing agreements with the MTA?
Jerry Miller with the CLA's office. No, it does not.
All right. And so what would be the unreadiness with respect to moving this item forward? Is there an indefinite period of time that you're asking for the extension of the life of the zone?
No, the motion would only extend the interim JPA through December 31st of 2001.
So you ask for a one-year extension, essentially?
Correct.
Now, one of the actions is, I further move that the City Council request that the Department of Transportation take the necessary steps to seek funds from SCAG and MTA, as indicated in item number 4.
That was an action taken by the interim JPA for the zone. That is not before the council at this time. That will be part of the report back from the Department of Transportation, what needs to be done and how to fund that. Correct.
All right. Mr. President, I think my questions have been satisfactorily answered at this point, notwithstanding Mr. Bernson's arm-twisting behavior over there. Watch yourself over there. You might get elevated, you be careful.
Here we go. Is there any other council member that wishes to speak on this item? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, would you open the roll, tabulate the vote?
9 ayes, 1 no.
Okay, that item is approved.
Mr. President, inasmuch as there's not 10 votes, it cannot go forthwith.
Excuse me, that's right. That is a special today, so it will not go forthwith. Next item.
Item number 4, special number 4, findings need to be made. It's a motion by Savornich and Hernandez.
Findings, Madam City Attorney?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This has to do with the EDA River Station Industrial Park. It was budgeted in the fiscal year 2000-2001 in the Special Gas Tax Street Improvement Fund. This item is on the Public Works agenda tomorrow morning, and I guess that the funding was not in place, and this is to put funding in place so that the project can go forward.
My understanding is we had taken the EDA River Station monies out. That's not what the motion reads. I think the wrong motion was circulated.
The council would need to make findings and then adopt the motion if you want to do this.
Let's hold this on the desk a moment.
Right.
I was in the restroom when number 3 was, and I want to, no, you needed 10 votes, and I want to be able to move that. If anyone else chooses not to be here, they should go out, but I do want to do that. Yeah.
Special 3.
I had stepped out for a moment, and I...
Is there any objection to reconsidering special item number 3 at this time?
Okay.
Okay, special item number 3 is before us.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, would you open the roll on special 3 and tabulate the vote?
Still 9 to 1. 9 ayes, 1 no.
Just let everyone know that's government working quickly.
Now,
So that's right where we were.
As we were, Mr. President, we wish to bring, what elementary school did Mr. Wax go to, and what math class was that he attended?
All I can say, it wasn't in San Pedro, Mr.
Thank you
Ridley
so
Thomas.
much, sir.
Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Special number 4.
Special 4 is being held on the desk a moment for
Yeah,
clarification.
if I could clear it up, it's just that the monies are coming out of the Public Works Trust Fund. It's not coming out of the EDA River Station. And I'm trying to make that correction, but the motion doesn't state that in terms of its wording on top. It does state it in terms of the therefores. So I don't know how to correct that.
I think we have time to correct it, Mr. Hernandez.
Okay.
Why don't we just hold it on the desk?
Okay.
Next item.
Special number 5, findings need to be made. It's a motion initiated by Mr. Padilla.
Madam
The-
City Attorney?
Thank you.
Point of order,
Excuse me,
Mr.
in my math class, Mr. Ridley Thomas says that there were 11 people here. Only Mr. Holden was out. Right. And it couldn't have been 9 to 1 then. It had to be 10 to 1. You had Miss Misikowski out, but she had come back in and she was standing there. Yeah.
Mr. Wax, I think unfortunately for the 10-vote issue, somebody changed their vote.
No,
on
but
the
it was
second vote.
still 10 to 1. There's 12 people here. Mr. Holden stepped
No,
out.
there are 11 people here.
There's one vacancy on the council.
Oh, I forgot about that vacancy. They didn't teach me that in fourth grade either.
Now, wait a minute. Now, as I was saying, Mr. Wack,
As I was saying, Mr. Ridley Thomas, it wasn't in San Pedro.
thank you so much.
Thank you ever so much. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Special number 5.
The mayor has staff for that, Joel should be.
Fortunately, Mr. Ridley Thomas, the mayor's office have people who count for them.
Thank you. Indeed. Yeah, well, what are they counting up there is my question.
Special number 5 is before you. The findings. Findings need to be made by the city attorney.
Madam City Attorney, let's try to make some sense to this.
Yeah.
On special number 5, I will try. This is a contract with Gensler and Associates Architects to prepare, this had to do with preparing office space consolidation, and it got into the multi-use and other things. This is a small portion of it, which is to extend the scope of services to include work described in on-call technical support staff for the installation of enhanced system in the city's intranet, and to increase the total financial obligation of the city by the amount not to exceed $14,375. And this needs to be done before the end of this week, or the contract will lapse, and then we won't have a contract for this particular issue unless you go out to a whole new RFP.
Okay, is there any council member that wishes to speak on the findings? If not, Mr. Clerk, would you open the roll on the findings and tabulate the vote?
11 ayes.
Okay, the issue is now before us. Is there any council member that wishes to speak on this item? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, open the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That item is approved. Next item.
Special number 6. Findings need to be made by the city attorney. The motion is initiated by Councilmember Ridley Thomas.
Madam City Attorney, Special 6.
Excuse me,
Mr. Sergeant, deal with Mr. Burnson, will you? Thank you.
this is an item which has to do with a building that is falling down and is going to be rehabbed. And there is additional monies that needs to be appropriated, and if it's not done immediately, then the building is in serious problems, and I think maybe Mr. Ridley Thomas could explain this a little bit further.
Yes, I appreciate the graphic depiction by the city attorney, and it seems to me if that doesn't constitute sufficient findings, I couldn't do any better.
Just trying to be helpful, Mr. Ridley Thomas. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on the findings? If not, Mr. Clerk, would you open the roll on the findings? Tabulate the vote.
Mr. President.
11 ayes.
Okay, the issue is now before us. Chair recognizes Councilman Ridley Thomas.
Pardon me, Madam Clerk, but Mr. President, members of the council, this is an item of a transfer of funds within the project area in the 8th District. It becomes critically important because the remediation work that is required in order to comply with the National Historic Preservation Act of 1966 is necessary to avoid triggering a federal review, which will put at risk the city's programmatic agreement with the State Office of Historic Preservation. Therefore, it seems to me that all of us have a vested interest in causing this transaction to happen. I'm pleased that both committee chairs who would have oversight over on this matter have seconded it, both Mr. Hernandez and Mr. Pacheco, and I wish to say thank you to them for their strategic advice.
Is there any other council member that wishes to speak on this item? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, would you open the roll, tabulate the vote?
11 ayes.
That item is approved forthwith. Next item.
Mr. President, special number 4 is still on the desk. Did you wish to consider that now?
Have we circulated Special 4? Okay, I believe the substitute is being circulated as we speak. The corrections have been made. Okay. Madam City Attorney? Okay, we lost her. Here she comes. Madam City Attorney, we're back on the findings for item number 4, which has been corrected and is being circulated by the city clerk.
Okay. Sorry, Mr. Chair. I think the CLA is trying to circulate it now.
There we go.
All right, this is to recommend a loan of $1,350,000 to be advanced from the Public Works Trust Fund as a loan to the following projects, which is Ventura Boulevard at San Feliciano Drive, which is where the library is, and Harbor Walkway Phase 4. And this needs to happen in order to balance the funding. And the item, I'm assuming this is the same item that is in Public Works tomorrow. I'm not. In the morning, and
Correct.
that's why it would need to happen today.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on the findings? If not, Mr. Clerk, would you open the roll on the findings? Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, that item is before us. Is there any council member that wishes to speak on this item?
Mr. Chair, I just want to make a clarification. You have 350,000, and on the I further move at the bottom, it's 1.5. So maybe it needs to be clarified which is the amount that needs to be voted on. The amount in the discussion is.
Who knows?
CLA is checking right now, Madam City Attorney.
While we're doing that, Mr. President, I would like to, that'll take a moment or two, I'd like to move reconsideration on Special 3 for the purpose of having 10 votes so it can go forthwith, so it will not expire at the end of the year.
Unfortunately, Mr. Burnson, council rules stipulate that we can only reconsider an item once during a council meeting.
It has not been reconsidered yet.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't. Item 3.
Yes, it was.
It was reconsidered?
Yes. Mr. Wax had moved reconsideration, and the vote came out the same, 9-1.
I move suspension of the rules. I move suspension of the rules in order to reconsider.
I understand, Mr. Burnson, but we're just trying to clarify Special 4, and then we'll proceed to
Okay.
that item.
All right.
Okay, item number 4 is still being worked out, so we're going to continue to hold item number 4 on the desk. We are going to move to Mr. Burnson's motion to suspend the rules on item number 3 with a second by Mr. Wax.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'm being told that it should be the 1.5. I don't know what the difference in the funding is for the two projects, but the total amount should be 1.5.
Okay. Okay. So now,
It does add up. It just wasn't added right.
okay, so now it adds up. So here we are back on special item number 4 today.
Rudy, you want to check with Joel to make sure?
Yeah, would you please send that over to Mr. Wax for addition verification, would you please? Okay, we do have special number 4. We have made the findings. The item is before us. Mr. Clerk, Mr. Padilla, did you want to be heard on special 4? No. Okay. Mr. Clerk, open the roll on special 4 and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That item is approved forthwith. Okay, special 4 is gone.
Okay.
Now,
Rudy.
Mr. Burnson has made a motion to suspend the rules, seconded by Mr. Wax, in so much we could reconsider item number 3 for a second time.
Yeah, because the item will die unless it is acted upon
But
today.
what we'll first need to do is
Won't
vote
die?
to suspend the rules.
Yeah, Mr.
Chair.
Mr. Chair,
One at a time.
Point of
Mr.
information.
Point of information
Can I
first,
ask
Mr. Hernandez.
which council members want me to vote yes on this item?
I don't know what she's going to do. Probably.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Chair recognizes Mr. Padilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Burnson, I thank you as the author of the motion for what you're attempting to do. But I'm going to have to vote no on suspension of the rules out of respect and regard for the rules that we have and wanting to suspend the rules only in unique and dire situations, so please, not on this one.
Okay,
Thank you.
may I make a recommendation then that the council may, they do not have to, but they may bring this in for reconsideration on the next legislative day, which would be Friday? Necessary, but they don't have to.
Okay, we do have the motion on the floor to suspend the rules.
Now, how many votes do we need to suspend the rules?
10.
And there are, with the new math, 11 members present, is that correct?
Correct.
And one member is going to vote no.
Well, that brings us to 10.
Well, I'm willing to try a vote.
Okay.
If I just might comment, Mr. President.
Mr.
If-
Deaton?
If you leave it the way it is, it could be reconsidered on Friday. If it's not reconsidered on Friday, it's a done deal.
It's a done deal.
The action stands. We have until December 31st to continue to do the necessary things to extend the JPA until 1 year more.
Until December 31st. My understanding is Friday is our last day.
Right, but if you don't reconsider and change your action, the action today stands.
Which was?
Your action was to approve it.
To approve it. The item was approved, it just wasn't sent forthwith.
Oh, okay.
That just means that, all it means is,
I knew there was.
Because you need 10 votes for forthwith. The item was approved.
You know, I just
Okay.
came back from Boston. I attended MIT, but I didn't go to MIT, so.
Yeah. I withdraw my motion to suspend the rules.
no comment.
But I won't forget. Rita?
And wherever Councilwoman Galanter is, I'd like to thank her for this wonderful opportunity this afternoon. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, I understand you wish to take item 94 out of order.
I believe a council member does. Councilwoman Misikowski requested item number 94 be taken out of order. Is there any objection by any council member for taking number 94 out of order? Okay, item number 94 is before us.
Yeah, could I request item 85 after 94?
Item number 94. Councilwoman? push your button.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the council, this is a report being brought to us by our negotiating team on an important element of the consent decree. I don't want to give anyone the impression that this is really dealing with all of the items on the consent decree, but one of the most important elements that got us to where we were was the inability of the city to move quickly on Teams 2, on getting our contract up and operating, and so many of the issues that we agreed to in the consent decree deal with risk management, deal with an effective system of knowing what's going on and keeping track of the various issues as they affect our officers, whether it's use of force, whether it's just where they are, who they previously worked with, et cetera. We need a major new overhaul of our computer system. That's what Teams 2 is about. This council suspended the rules some months ago to really get a contract started in terms of getting us some sense of what we needed to do, and we have a report together today now by our negotiating team on what they are asking of us as it affects that issue, but most specifically Teams 2 and the next phase of that contract. So I'd like to turn it over to our staff, and not our staff, also the mayor is here, who I think has signed this report that we have before us today, and it's signed by those who are part of the negotiating team, Commission President Jerry Chaliff, Ron Deaton, Kelly Martin, and Mr. Hahn. And I think we have representatives of each or some of them here today to talk about this item.
Mr. Deaton?
Mr. President, members of the council, you requested that we come back with a implementation plan for the first 6 months. This is most of it, not all of it, though. First off, recommendation number 2 is so we can pursue, that it's the city's policy to pursue funds for trying to pay for at least a portion of the consent decree from getting federal money and or state money if that's possible. Items 3, 4, and 5, and 6 talk about Teams 2. It has to do with continuing a contract that we currently have with Leichhardt Systems for, we've provided for 24 months. However, the plan is that in the first 3 months, that the most important job to be done on Teams 2 in immediate near future is the completion of the design document. We've added also to provide for a use of force system and a design of the complaint system used by Internal Affairs as part of their work product. We have set up a General City Purposes Fund in order to administer the contract from that fund, and it will be jointly done by the mayor and the council. Also, a very important element of the consent decree is the obtaining of a monitor. We provided for money, and we are in the process of putting a request for proposal out. That contract will come back to the council for approval once we're through that process. And the financial impact is $2 million in the fund for Teams 2, and we anticipate $500,000 for the monitor in this coming fiscal year. At least we believe that will take care of it. Item 9 actually speaks to the problem, the part of it that's not included, which is the police department in the next 6 months has to implement a change in the officer involved shooting unit, also begin a process of putting on an audit team in various places in the police chief's office and other, and also be getting resources ready to provide for the reporting of the racial profiling data that's required under the consent decree. Those budget requests are being put together right now with the police department. As soon as they're through the police commission, as required by the consent decree, then they will be forwarded to the mayor and the city council, and we'll be back reporting to you on that in the first part of January.
Thank you, Mr. Deaton. Madam Chief Deputy Mayor?
I would just like to say that as challenging as the negotiation was, the implementation is going to be harder. And the only way we're going to successfully do it is if we all continue to work together, and that's what this creates a framework that will allow us to do that.
Mr. Chair, honorable council members, Mark Burton, Los Angeles City Attorney's Office. As to item number 9, that was heard before the commission today and will be coming to council.
Chair recognizes Mr. Fewer.
Thank you, Mr. President. A couple questions. First, with regard to the monitor. Now, we're preparing an RFP for the monitor's selection. Does that mean that a monitor or someone who may be, for example, a former, a lawyer in town or a former police officer or somebody, would be responsible for submitting a proposal that reflects a whole staffing pattern for how the monitor's office would work? Or are they submitting their own qualifications as an individual to be supplemented later on in conjunction with the city?
They would be proposing, we are asking for them to make a proposal for the 5 years.
All right, so
we want to know what they're going to staff, how much it's going to cost, who they're going to bring, what are their experts, etc.
Does that approach to the RFP, eliminate from competition for this individuals with, say, past Christopher or Colts or other Commissioner Webster experience who may be just individual lawyers in private practice, for example, or consultants to one of those commissions, but who don't have a stable of people with whom they're working and aren't used to structuring something in an RFP format, do we think?
It doesn't eliminate them. They have to compete by putting together a complete package. In other words, if there's the proposal has to be believable that they can in fact accomplish the job.
Like, so I'm saying is people, and maybe this is just fine, I'm just concerned that people with substantial expertise on police reform issues in the city tend not necessarily to be people who compete for government contracts with any kind of regularity at all. Yeah, Kelly?
The RFP is modeled, it was prepared by the CLA's office in large part, shared with the negotiating team, shared with the Justice Department, and is modeled off of ones used in New
Pittsburgh.
Jersey and Pittsburgh. I would also say that we have a mailing list and labels prepared, And every single member of the Christopher Commission is going to get a copy of the RFP. We're really disseminating it widely. So if the concern is that somebody might not know about it or know to respond, they will have the opportunity to respond. And then when the proposals come in, we will, of course, evaluate them and make recommendations.
Yeah. My major concern is that there are some people who are credible and have real expertise here that we want to compete for this. Whether or not they have expertise in preparing responses to RFPs is a different story. And just procedurally, it comes back then to the City Council and the mayor for some joint approval process?
That's correct. Under the consent decree, that's required.
Okay. With regard to other budgeted matters for the consent decree implementation for the balance of this fiscal year, now we have this 2.5 that's sitting here in this, with a series of other proposals, I assume, coming forward over the course of the next several months. Do we have any good read on a date certain by which we're going to know what this fiscal year's budget for consent decree implementation will be?
How much more?
Yeah, but by when will we know how much more? For example, we're having the mid-year budget adjustment conversations in about a month and a half. Will we know by that point?
Yes,
where we
you'll
stand?
know. We'll be reporting back to you in January. I understand the commission acted today, and we'll be receiving that, and from what I gather, we'll have the opportunity to analyze it in great detail.
Okay. And with regard to our Strategic Solutions involvement in this, the team is comfortable that this is the right company to do the work, that they have the expertise and the capacity to handle a project of this magnitude?
Totally.
It's about as unequivocal as we get at the middle table there. All right, thank you.
Is there any other council member that wishes to speak on item number 94? Okay. Councilwoman Mrs. Kowski moves approval. Mr. Clerk, would you open the roll on item number 94 and tabulate the vote?
9 ayes, 2 noes.
That item is approved. Next item.
Item number 75, called special by Councilmember Holden.
Mr. Hernandez had asked that we take item number 85. Is there any objection for we taking item 85 as the next item, colleagues? Okay, seeing no objections, item number 85 is before us. Is there any council member that wishes to speak on item number 85? Okay, Mr. Clerk, would you open the roll on item number 85 and tabulate the vote? Okay, let's do this again. Mr. Clerk, would you open the roll on item number 85
Try it again.
and tabulate the vote?
9 ayes, 2 noes.
Okay, that item has been withdrawn from committee, and I believe we need to vote on the item.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Hernandez?
For unanimous vote on this item.
Okay. Mr. Clerk, would you open the roll on item number 85 and tabulate the vote?
10 ayes, 1 no.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
That item is approved.
Forthwith, Mr. President.
Forthwith on that item. Next item.
Item 75, called special by Councilmember Holden.
Item number 75, Mr. Holden, called special by you.
Mr. President, members, I'm going to need somebody to talk to me about these amendments and changing weights on our streets. Smooth way of doing it, so if they come up, then I'll speak to the issue, Mr. President. I think this is a way in which they're going to add more weight from 50 tons and it'll go up.
Sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. President and council members, I'm Jim Washington from the Bureau of Street Services, Street Use Inspection. Item 75 is an amendment to several sections of our current ordinance that will bring our ordinance in line with county and state ordinances that allow heavy haulers to move their loads along streets, local streets. The report is a joint report with Bureau of Street Services as well as the Bureau of Engineering, and it is our understanding from the Bureau of Engineering that there will be no substantial damage or reduction in street life as a result of these changes. Item 3, which deals with a visibility issue. It has a sunset clause on it for the year 2003 because we do not have enough information on it to indicate.
What is the visibility? I mean, don't say, what is it? What does it do? What are the
visibility-
changes? What is the amendment?
Currently, your ordinance does not allow movement in the rain or fog. This change in the ordinance will allow the movement of heavy transport units when there is 1,000 feet of visibility. That's approximately 2 city blocks.
Okay, and at the width, it could cover the whole width of the street, right? 125 feet?
No.
That's the axle, that's the axle.
That's the length of the load. It basically allows, without inspection.
110 feet?
110 feet.
Overall, in length?
Overall, in length. And if it's 125 feet, if there's a rear steerable axle, it allows it to move without benefit of inspection.
What's
That's
the width?
similar to our fire trucks.
What is
with
the
their
width
rear
of the vehicle, the load, you might say? Some extends out.
The weight requirements are restricted by axle weight. They may not, the load may not exceed legal axle weights.
What about the 50 tons? You're amending, so it won't be 50-ton cap anymore. What will the max weight be then?
The maximum weight is determined by the weight of the specific axle and the distance between axles.
It said delete 62.137A in excess of 50 tons. If you delete the 50-ton cap, then what will it be?
It's based upon axle groupings.
Then the reason I raise the question because you're going to compromise the integrity of our roads. You know, put a lot of money into this and resurfacing of our streets, and you're going to bring the weight in. At least the council members should know exactly. Pardon? The council members should know what the consequences of their vote is going to be. That's the reason why I raised it and called it special. It may be the appropriate thing to do, but it may not be.
Councilmember, that was our concern as we considered the change and recommend the change in the ordinance. And engineering assures us that as long as the axle weights are not exceeded, that we will not have a substantial increase in damage to our road.
What is the axle weight? That's you didn't tell us that.
It depends on the size of the tire, depends on the different distance between the axle groupings.
Well, they should give us some numbers. That's what I'm saying. There aren't any numbers.
In the report, Councilman.
The one I have. Oh, well, I don't have a complete report. I'll have to talk to my staff about that. All right, well, how many, what is it, Mr.? 95,000 pounds for transport. It's 95,000 pounds, so you went from 50,000 to 95,000. That's almost double.
You're talking about the intermodal containers. We're not addressing intermodals at this time.
All right.
But independent of axle weights of 17,000 pounds?
All right.
17,500. It depends on the width of the tire, it depends on the distance between the axles. If the hauler meets those requirements, there will be no substantial damage to our roadway.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. The chair recognizes Councilman Burnson.
Yeah, I'm glad that Mr. Holden brought up these things, and I respectfully may have some differences of opinion with engineering on that, Public Works. I think that there is potential damage to our streets. But more than that, I think the size of these vehicles also will impact transportation. And I think we need to look at it, how those things may impact our transportation. And I would move that this be sent to the Transportation Committee.
Is there any objection to sending this item to Transportation? I've been informed by the Chair of Transportation that he'll get it back in a timely fashion, Mr. West. Okay, any objection? I believe we do have one speaker card on this item. It is going to go to Transportation, but I'm going to ask the gentleman, since he is here, whether or not you wish to speak now on Transportation. Greg Deneen, I believe. Mr. Deneen, you're welcome to speak now or wait till it comes back or go to Transportation, whatever you choose, sir.
My name is Greg Deneen. I'm with the Heavy Equipment Rental Organization. We started this over 2 years ago to get the changes. Is what the I think is what some of the problems are that the council doesn't understand is the ordinance that we're changing is an ordinance that hasn't been changed in 60 years. So we're dealing with weights that we used 60 years ago, and times have changed till now, that the city based their weights on tons per load, which now they base the loads on axle weights. The axle weights that they're changing to are the axle weights that are within the vehicle code. They can't exceed the axle weights in the vehicle code. So you're not changed, nothing's being changed that isn't already being regulated by Caltrans, by CHP. The weights that are in the vehicle code is the maximum you can go to in the state of California, and that's all we're asking the city of Los Angeles to do is update their ordinances to meet the regulation done by already with the vehicle code. The state of California is already regulating it. We're asking the city of Los Angeles to be uniform with the rest of the municipalities that are around that we're working with, LA County and the different organizations within. That's what we're requesting. It's not a weight. It's not they're giving us more weight. We get that weight anywhere else in California until we go to the city of Los Angeles. That's the difference.
Okay. This item has been referred to the Transportation Committee, and we will have that scheduled at our first meeting in January, and then have it come back to the council. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Item number 83, there are two motions on one file, a motion and a substitute motion. A motion is required from the floor.
Mr. President.
Chair recognizes Councilman Pacheco.
Mr. President, I move approval item number B, the substitute motion that I proposed with Mr. Hernandez as a second on the motion at the time. Only add that in the language under recommendation for council action, the sentence reads, subject to terms and conditions of similar city-owned property leases. There should be insert in between similar and city-owned the words below market value. So that would read, subject to terms and conditions of similar below market value city-owned property leases. As for that amendment, I move motion B, A3B,
Okay.
as amended.
Is there any objection to the amendment to item number 83B? Okay, seeing no objection, the amendment is part of 83B. Mr. Pacheco has now moved item 83B. Is there any council members that wish to speak on item number 83? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, would you open the roll as B being the substitute motion on number 83 and tabulate the vote?
10 ayes.
Okay, that item is approved forthwith. Okay, next item.
Mr. President, items number 90 and 96 are closed session items, so now is the time for public comment on non-agenda items.
Okay, here we go. Mr. Edgar Palacios, Richard Robinson, and Leonard Shapiro. Mr. Palacios? Mr. Robinson?
Mr. President, members, swinging, hanging, dimpled, and pregnant chads are legitimate votes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Having no other cards for public comment, we are now going to be proceeding to executive session. Would all persons in the audience not involved with the executive session please excuse themselves at this time? Sergeants, would you help facilitate preparing the council chamber for executive session? Mr. Clerk, let's take care of some routine business.
Motions for posting and referral.
Without objection, so ordered.
Council members request to be excused from council attendance. Councilmember Hernandez requests to be excused on Wednesday, January 17th for city business. This meets policy.
Okay.
Councilmember Fuhr requests to be excused on February 14th to leave at 11:50 for city business. This meets policy.
So ordered.
Councilmember Sorenich requests to be excused on Tuesday, January 2nd for personal business. Meets policy.
So ordered.
Councilmember Wax requests to be excused for personal business to leave at 11:30 on December 15th. This meets policy.
So ordered.
There were excuses for the 13th, but I understand that the 13th will be canceled.
Okay.
The desk is clear, save for the closed session items.
Okay. In session, Mr. Burnson, for an announcement prior to us voting on the closed session matters that can be voted on.
Yes, the Planning Land Use Management Committee will meet 5 minutes after adjournment of this council.
Okay. Mr. Clerk, what is before us?
Item 90A, request that that matter be continued to January 16th.
Okay, without objection, so ordered.
Item number 90B, request that that matter be continued to January 9th.
Without objection, so ordered.
Item number 90F, request that that matter be continued to January 9th.
Without objection, so ordered.
Item 90D and E, a request from the city attorney be approved for $400,000 in settlement of each case.
Okay, Councilwoman Misikowski moves. Councilman Padilla seconds. Would you please open the roll on those two items and tabulate the vote?
10 ayes.
Those items are approved. Forthwith.
Item number 90G, request from the city attorney be approved to authorize $690,000 in settlement of case.
Okay, number 90G. Misikowski moves. Padilla seconds. Open the roll on that item. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That item is approved. Forthwith.
The desk is clear.
Okay. Do we have adjourning motions?
Mr. Chair, I think there's a special motion that was being brought in. I can give the findings orally, and it's very quick. It is just that because there is no quorum on January 2nd, that the council is to recess, and it was just discovered, and that way the clerk can do their agendas so that we're not in recess. We're in recess January 2nd.
Okay. Okay, Madam City Attorney, let us vote on the findings on special number 7. Mr. Clerk, open the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Okay, the item is now before us to have January 2nd, Tuesday, council recess day due to lack of a quorum. Mr. Clerk, would you open the roll and tabulate the vote?
Sure.
10 ayes.
That item is approved. Okay.
Motions?
Here we go, adjourning motions. Chair recognizes Mr. Hernandez.
Mr. President, members of the council, I'm asking that we adjourn in memory of a lifelong neighbor, someone who grew up, or I should say I was a kid, and he was a gentleman who always stood as a role model, and that was Mr. Richard Velos. Mr. Velos has a son, Richard Velos Jr., that many of us might have known, works with Health Networks. But Richard Velos on Whittier Boulevard was known for his photography shop. And you need to know that he served in the United States Navy, World War II. In East Los Angeles, he was known as a photographer of presidents because he took many different presidents' portraits, as well as not only American presidents, but Mexican presidents. He also took the pictures of Cesar Chavez and Ricardo Montalban and Mayor Reardon. He devoted numerous hours of volunteer work to the community. He worked with youth. Again, his mother lived in the house behind our house, and Mr. Velas was a role model for me, and his son is a good friend of mine, and I just ask that we adjourn in his name.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Holden.
Mr. President, members, we all are aware that we lost a good friend and a great legislator in Congressman Julian Dixon. I knew Julian when he was in law enforcement, county marshal, and he did almost 40 years of public service. He also, after that, worked for Senator Mervyn Donnelly as a staff member for a number of years, and subsequently elected to the California State Assembly for 6 years. During his 6 years, I had the opportunity to serve and work with him for 4 years from the Senate side. And I would carry his legislation on the Senate side, and he would carry mine on the Assembly side as required. Two of the most noted bills that we both were involved with is known as the Baldwin Hills Park, not known as Kenny Hahn Park. I authored the bill from the Senate side, and he carried it for me on the Assembly side. And the bill to commemorate the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement, and also the holiday for Dr. King. It was Julian who carried that bill for me on the Assembly side. Subsequently being elected to the Congress in 1978, he served 11 terms. And in his 11th term, as you know, he was called. He was the 5th-ranking Democrat on the powerful Appropriations Committee. He had the ability to work with people on both sides of the aisle, Lewis and all back in Washington, and he was highly respected. Certainly he's going to be missed, and his shoes can never be filled. He accomplished so much for all of us. Field of transportation. Even in the earthquake, the Northridge earthquake, when we needed financial support, who do you call on from the Appropriations Committee? It was Congressman Julian Dixon. And so, members, all members, and I would just ask that we have a moment of silence before we proceed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. All members.
And I have, if I may...
Mr. Holden?
Right. We have Vivian Weinstein. Ms. Weinstein served as president of the Commission on Children and Youth. And the family, since it was created in 1996, she worked throughout her life as an activist in the area of child care intervention for youth at risk, services for the disabled children, child abuse treatment and prevention, and family services. She served on many local, state, and national forces, including the Mayor's Committee on the Youth and Their Families, which recommended the creation of the commission. She was instrumental in creating the child care policy for the city. Recently, UCLA instituted Vivian Weinstein Advocacy Center to promote leadership and advocacy for all children. Certainly she can be missed, and she's survived by one son and a daughter-in-law and a grandson. And I just want to...
Mr. Hernandez.
Mr. President, I just wanted to, one, I knew Ms. Weinstein lived in the Councilmember Holden's district, and he'd be making the adjourning motion. She made a very special contribution to the city when we talk about the Commission of Children, Youth, and their families by serving as its chair since its inception. She also played that same role with the county and served as a bridge. I think that she has to be remembered as like the #1 advocate for the children for the city of Los Angeles, and she'll be sorely missed. And I also wanted to add that Congressman Julian Dixon was a very special person to me. When I was dealing with my personal problems at the hospital, one of the many letters that I got to read was a 2-page letter written to me by Julian Dixon telling me not to give up, that I had a lot to live for. And when an elected official at that level takes the time to show the kind of concern he did, it shows you what a special person he was. And I'll be missing him.
Mr. Holden?
Yes, I want to make note of the fact that Congressman Dixon is survived by his wife, Betty Lee Dixon, and one son, Gary Gordon Dixon. We have one more, Mr. President, members. Mr. David N. Commons. David should be known for, he was a former Hollywood screenwriter and aide to lawmakers in Sacramento. He was appointed by Governor Jerry Brown to the South Coast Regional Coastline Commission, worked as a lobbyist for some of the oil companies, and served many years on the staff of Democratic state senators, including Senator Bertie. He was an adjunct to Jerry Brown's office. He was always there when I was there. David was a good guy, well-known, and worked very hard for all of us. He is survived by 2 sons and 4 grandchildren. Services are planned for Sunday at the California Yacht Club and Marina del Rey. He will be missed for sure.
Councilman Padilla?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues request that we adjourn in memory of Jacques Bloom, who at the age of 69 and was a resident of Westlake Village and father of Los Angeles resident David Bloom. Jacques Bloom was a longtime community activist and led many medical missions to Mexico, and here in Los Angeles led many projects with LA Works, the volunteer service organization. He was killed last Friday night, December 8th, in an automobile accident on Canaan Road when his vehicle was sideswiped. And I would also like to add on the adjournment for Congressman Dixon, as most of us know, services are tomorrow. Council's adjourned so we can be in attendance.
Councilwoman Walters?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to add a note about my very dear, very close friend, Julian Dixon. Julian touched so many lives in ways that will probably never be known. But he was a gentleman, a man who cared deeply about people and about his city. When he was in the assembly, he made it his special duty to look out for the school district. Whenever there was legislation that needed passing, he would honcho it through. And it's not just the school district, but the city as well. He worked very closely with Tom Bradley. He worked very closely with current mayor. And he was just a very, very special person to all of his friends. And I count myself very fortunate to have been in that number.
Mr. Ridley Thomas?
Mr. President, members of the council, I wish to join in acknowledging the lifelong service of Julian Dixon as a public servant. And I suspect that what many will remember most about him was the fact that he was a problem solver, committed to resolving conflict. And as would be his way, I mean conflict at the interpersonal level between people, conflict between ethnic groups, interethnic conflict resolution, and as his impressive career in Congress will document, as a result of his foreign policy portfolio, he was involved in conflict resolution at the international level. So interpersonal, interracial, and international problem solver, I think, is the way in which I can best remember and appreciate the life and witness of Julian C. Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Ridley Thomas. I would like to ask that we adjourn in memory of Norman Rifkin, father of Alan Rifkin, who is a longtime employee of the city's Department of Transportation.
Oh, we did that, Mr. Spornage.
Okay. And also that we adjourn in memory of Albert Joseph Frey, Jr., who recently passed away. And on behalf of Council President Pro Tem Ruth Galanter, I would like to ask that we adjourn in the memory of the following individuals who recently passed away. Ruby Morris Andrew passed away at the young age of 102. Howard Towner, who was the founding board member of the Friends of the Bologna Wetlands and served on the board since 1978, was an educator and eminent biologist at Loyola Marymount. Mr. Morton Scharf, who recently passed away. Mary Egan, who recently passed away. And of course, all members in memory of Congressman Dixon. Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll? Seeing no further business, the council is adjourned.